talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon. With your headlines at 1 o'clock, I'm Uma Gurav. T-minus 6 hours on deadline day, and it's like a soap opera already. The latest twist, Liverpool are now confident of getting the Gahey deal done. But if they do, the medical will have to happen in London to save time. Man United, they do have a new goalkeeper, but it's not Emi Martinez. United have instead agreed an £18 million fee with Antwerp for the Belgian youngster Sene Lamens. But Villa still want to offload Martinez. Plus, we're hearing Tottenham are in talks with PSG over a last-minute move for striker Randall Kolo Muani. Over in the box office main event of the day, Alexander Isak is completing formalities in Liverpool ahead of his record-shattering move. And his Toys Out the Pram apprentice, Johan Wissa, is also getting his wish. Brentford have made the Magpies pay £55 million for the 28-year-old with a year left on his contract.
It comes in. Well done, Newcastle. You've got one coming in doing the same thing to Brentford that you were complaining about doing to you, which is exactly what you're talking about, right? So out goes one stinker, in comes another one.
Stinker.
But the fact of the matter is who won and who lost. Brentford got £55 million for a player that's not worth £55 million.
Emmanuel Petit had his own transfer dilemmas in his career, but how did he handle it? We expect Donnarumma may well become a Manchester City player today, allowing Edison to move to Fenerbahce. Keep your eyes glued to the talksport.com live blog throughout the day, with transfer lines developing by the minute. And can clubs please stop sacking ex-Man United bosses? Mourinho, Solskjaer and now Ten Hag 3 games into his Leverkusen reign.
talkSPORT News.
There's more help for thousands of working parents in England with their nursery costs from today. And a huge rescue mission is underway in Afghanistan after more than 800 people were killed in an earthquake. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Buy 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres and claim Bridgestone's massive 20,000 mileage guarantee. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
A day of sunny spells and showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with the risk of hail and thunder. It's feeling a little cooler than Sunday.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT, where this afternoon, as you can imagine, transfer deadline day may well get a mention in passing. We will be right across all of the done deals and breaking transfer news, and there's some breaking as we speak with our top team of experts who will be popping in throughout the afternoon, and everyone from around Europe where business is being done. Troy Deeney is going to give us his take on deadline day. We're going to talk about João Pedro, his old teammate at Watford, and indeed Victor Gyökeres. And the top football agent Phil Smith tells us what we should expect from the next 5 and a bit hours. Plus, Danny Kelly will look back on the weekend's results and how they're impacting today's last-minute trading. And football finance expert Kieran Maguire on how PSR is impacting some clubs' ability to strengthen. So, all bases covered on deadline day today. Alex Crook and Anil Kandel are going to be popping in throughout the afternoon with all the breaking news. So stick with us right until 4 o'clock.
Yes.
5 minutes, 54 minutes and 26 seconds until the window closes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. And if you do get a chance to look at YouTube, the studio looks sensational.
It does look brilliant, doesn't it?
You should have worn a yellow tie. I would have worn a yellow dress like that. If only I'd known.
If we'd both worn green, it could have been a bit of a problem, couldn't it? We might have got a bit green screen, a couple of floating heads. So, yes, the breaking news, Alex and Annie will be in throughout the afternoon, but the breaking news in the last few minutes is it looks like Tottenham have done a straight loan, according to reports, for Randall Colomwani from PSG. Yeah. I think he really wanted to go to Juve, but they couldn't get the deal done. It's interesting, there was all this talk that that PSG wanted an obligation to buy, and that's why he couldn't go to Juve. But he's gone on it sounds like he's gone on a straight loan for the season.
I liked your analysis of him, though. A man who could have won the World Cup signing for Tottenham.
Yeah. I coulda, woulda, shoulda. The man who had that chance to score against Emi Martinez and create history who didn't. Feels like a good fit for us.
A lot of...
Well, maybe he can get one of those things. Funny, I heard a lot of talk this weekend. I got back from Spurs and there was some football on in the evening and yesterday, and they were talking about these things, shots on target. And I thought, shots on target? What's that? So I looked them up, and apparently they do exist. And you can have one before the 68th minute. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's amazing.
It was an important win for Manchester United. It's always good to beat one of your relegation rivals.
Yeah.
And I thought Durham missed a bit of a trick reading the results. When he should have read Stockley Park United 2, Fulham 0.
Oh, that was a disgrace, Andy, wasn't it? That was so bad.
Appalling, really. And just moving slightly away from football, but it amused me that Perry Edwards was on stage, a gold stage at Lord's, singing before the 100. And not only did I think dear old Fingers would be turning in his grave, but I also thought, if she does 5 songs, will she be on the honours board?
Nice.
Thank you.
Like it. So what kind of afternoon can we expect over the next 5 hours, 52 minutes and 18 seconds? Let's find out from a man we only ever chat to him twice a year. I feel bad. We never write, we never call. It's our old pal, the top football agent, Phil Smith. Good afternoon, Phil.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, sorry, it's only twice a year. But, I mean, it's nice that we do it. It's nice that we chat twice a year at least, Phil. There's people we don't chat to in our own families twice a year.
It's true.
So, it's closing a bit earlier than usual. We're normally chatting to you, and we're talking about going through at 11 o'clock. So, what do you make of this early finish, and what impact do you think that might have?
It's not going to make too much impact because everyone would have known about it in advance. It's probably a bit more user-friendly, maybe. Listen, the deals that are in play, shall we say, will already be well advanced. And you're hearing this morning about obviously the Isaac thing. I think they've had to just get their ducks in a row, make sure that Wissa was going to come in, and they've already done Walter Marder. So it was inevitable, and I'm sure that they're fine-tuning it today rather than starting it today. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
There's a lot of chat about players forcing moves, but it was ever thus. I mean, we all knew. I don't think there can be a person who's got a sense of these things that he wasn't going to end up at Liverpool and Vissa was going to end up at Newcastle. We all knew that.
I just want to ask you specifically, Phil, about that. We've heard a lot about broken promises. We've had players issuing... saying, our promises have been broken, just keep your promises. I'm thinking, it's a very contract-heavy sport. I mean, bit of a chat with the director of football or the chairman where he says, if someone big comes in for you can go. I mean, that's no way to run a business, is it?
No, I'm not sure that that's necessarily either being accurately reported or done in the most professional way. Of course, everything's got to be in writing nowadays. I mean, the data procedures now on recruiting of players is done that way. So surely player contracts aren't going to be left to chance. So, no, I don't get that at all. And if this was an issue, it's the sort of thing that we'd come up and deal with in May, not at the end of August.
Have you ever had a situation like the Nicholas Jackson one where, the player thinks he's going somewhere, he goes all the way there, and then the club goes, no, sorry, you've got to come back?
It's unusual, but it can happen. And yes, we have. I can't think of one right at this moment in time, but... normally it's in the past it's been failed medicals, which no one likes to talk about nowadays, even if that might be the case, because that has a knock-on effect. But, what can they do? They've decided they wanted to let the player go. He's been made surplus in every sense, and then he's called back. My guess is that deal will get done, but I don't think they ever wanted to buy him in the first place. They wanted to loan him and sort of see how it went, and this happens a lot in England now. Just the England to it, the England club to England club deals tend to be loans with an obligation makes it sound as if, we're just delaying the payment of the money, but in truth, they're hedging their bets. But loans like the Sancho one that may be happening today still means that the burden is heavy on Manchester United.
Harvey Elliott said a couple of months ago, after the under-21s, he was probably going to have to maybe move on to get game time. He'd love to work his way into the senior squad for the World Cup. So here we are, 2 and a bit months on, and it looks like today he's going on loan with a view to buy a 35 million obligation to buy to Villa. So that's another 4 or 5 weeks of football he's missed, and another 4 or 5 weeks of where Villa could have, really benefited from him being around. So why has it taken this long?
Well, supply and demand. I'm not sure who actually really wanted him, surprisingly or not. He had a very good under-21 tournament, and money. It's as simple as that. He'll be earning very good money at Liverpool, and they want to receive everything that they're paying out. They don't really want to be paying him for the privilege of playing for another team. And of course, what happens in the end, it becomes like a Marcus Rashford halfway house where you go on loan to someone because you need to be playing, and it fulfills a temporary need for them.
This obligation or option to buy thing, I mean, Tottenham bringing in Koloani with no obligation or option. So that's just a straight loan for a season by the sound of it. If he has a brilliant season, then obviously PSG can ask what they like from Spurs, which Daniel Levy clearly wouldn't like. And so there's no option to do that. So, I mean,
it's a shop window.
Well, normally the obligation is either a financial situation where they want to pay in over a longer period of time, and it's termed obligation, or it's obligatory based on achievement. So if Tottenham make the Champions League again, if Tottenham win a major trophy, but then common sense kicks in that surely would have been built in anyway.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, if it is £52 million, I can understand why Tottenham wouldn't want to commit to a £52 million obligation.
To see what he's like.
You don't know how he's going to do
in the Premier League. The other thing is in English clubs, sorry, I don't mean to cut across you. In English clubs, you tend to play, it's over 2 years, but effectively the first amount is now, and then the other amounts normally by the end of next season possibly goes into fulfill a third portion that makes it look like it's 2 years, but generally it's inside 12 months. So you get more traction, you get more a bit more of an ability to spread the cost over a longer period of time with overseas clubs, because that's more how they do their business.
Sure. Phil, are you expecting any out of left field deals between now and 7 o'clock?
I don't think so. I think there could be last minute loans. There's a couple that we're doing between Premier League clubs, and when they say 11th hour, I think they mean 12th and a half hour, because honestly, they probably don't need to do medicals at that point, or they've done them previously if it's a deal that's happened in the recent past. And it can be done very, very easily and electronically now, digitally. You can't do a medical digitally, but you can certainly give all the information.
It's amazing with these deals. I spoke to someone involved in the Eze deal, and he was definitely going to Tottenham as far as this bloke was concerned. And then he ends up at Arsenal. Then you had Xavi Simons. He was going to Chelsea. Then he ends up at Tottenham. So I reckon there might be a couple of those still to happen. I'm
sure you're right. And you've seen enough to know.
Definitely.
Phil, thank you as always. Have a good afternoon and have a good Christmas.
I'll see you in January.
Have a lovely Christmas.
Have a lovely Christmas. See you in January.
Thank you.
Oh, dear me. There's Agent Phil Smith. We always check in with Phil as deadline day gets underway. So maybe a few late loans. He says he's working on a couple himself between Premier League clubs. Maybe that's your club. What do you still need? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want before 7 o'clock? Do let us know this afternoon. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089 or tweet to TS8&J 03717 223344 to get in touch this afternoon. As we said, our top team throughout the afternoon could be popping in with all the latest stories. Manchester United and Manchester City look like they're bringing in new keepers. Tottenham are doing a bit of business. Chelsea could be doing a little bit of business in Portugal, potentially. And Andy Brassell's going to join us later on. We'll be right across all the stories from Europe. And Brian Brobby, for example, it's a shame he's not going to Brighton, but it's good news for Sunderland. So we'll be chatting about him and some of those incoming players from around Europe. If you want to know a little bit more, you've signed someone from around Europe and you would like to know more, Andy's your man. We'll chat to him later on. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. Troy Deeney is going to join us next. We'll look back on some of the weekend's football, get his take on deadline day so far and who needs what based on what we've seen in the early days of this season. We're here, as always, with Tool Station on deadline day. Next stop, Tool Station. It's deadline day here on the talkSPORT, and I think you'll find there's just 5 hours, 39 minutes and 54 seconds to go. Alex Crook and Anil Condola are going to be with us throughout the afternoon. Crookie has popped in. Good afternoon, Alex. There's plenty of stuff going on.
There is. Doesn't it look great in here? Bob?
Does, yeah.
The graphics.
Sensational.
This is quite an exciting deadline day. They're not always, are they? But
no.
It looks like it's really going to be one.
And I think in keeping with the summer, really, there have been so many stories, so many sagas developing. Obviously, a lot of them seem to be coming to the conclusion that I know you predicted with Isak off to Liverpool and Wissa off to Newcastle in his place, and maybe
difficult to predict.
Maybe Mark Gay to Liverpool. That deal, I think, is in the balance. Yeah. But this morning, I was being told by sources at Liverpool maybe it wouldn't happen, and now we're hearing that perhaps it could because Palace are signing Igor on loan from Brighton. Your club, Tottenham, doing a bit of deadline day business. Obviously, Dominic Solanke didn't play at the weekend, and there's fears that he might be out for a few weeks. And it's Randall Kolomuani, French international. We all remember him for missing that one-on-one at the end of the World Cup final. Yeah. Well, two players we're talking about on deadline day. Kolomuani to Spurs on what we're being told is a straight loan, so no option or obligation to make that permanent. And Emi Martinez, the odd man out on this deadline day, didn't play for Villa last night. There was a chance he would go to Manchester United. They're signing Seny Lammers, a young goalkeeper from Belgium, instead. So what do Villa do with Martinez? And they are getting busy, Aston Villa, on deadline day. Jadon Sancho on loan from Manchester United. Looks like it will happen, with them paying 80% of his wages plus bonuses for the rest of the season. And Harvey Elliott potentially as well. The club's still haggling over what the obligation would be in that loan deal. And Victor Lindelof on a free transfer. So not one but two former Manchester United players potentially heading to Villa Park.
We were just talking off air about some of the odd men out, and we've kind of forgotten about Raheem Sterling, hadn't we, and what was going on with him? No, he's a drain on your resources, Andy, that's why.
Well, he was one of the big talking points this time last year because there wasn't much doing until the final hours of the window, and then all of a sudden we found out he was camped out next to Arsenal's training ground, ready to undergo a medical. Chelsea ended up swallowing the vast majority of his wages, much like Villa are going to do with Jadon Sancho, actually, and that deal happened. Didn't work out for him at Arsenal, did it? Didn't really pull up any trees there. But he's certainly someone Chelsea would like to move on. There was talk of Fulham, but they're trying to regress on Kevin, the Brazilian winger from Shakhtar, in a club record deal, and Samuel Chukwueze from Milan as well. So I don't really see where he fits at Fulham. There was talk of West Ham because of his relationship with Graham Potter. Again, that seems to have gone very quiet. And Crystal Palace, the other London club, who've shown some interest. So let's see if anything happens with Sterling between now and 7 o'clock. If not, that's quite an expensive problem for Chelsea.
It depends how much he wants to still play football. If he really wants to play, I mean, the Turkish window's still open.
I don't think he fancies that. I don't think he wants to leave London, ideally. One of the reasons he signed such a long-term deal with Chelsea was because he wanted to come back to London. So it does limit his options. Yeah,
the O's might be looking for someone, but they'll have to pay most of the wages, I would imagine.
Yeah, but Barnett, potentially.
What's happened to him. He was so terrible, wasn't he?
And he's not as old as you think, is he? There's still lots of football left in him, you would imagine.
But you mentioned Igor to Palace there. Brighton, I was thinking about it yesterday. Brighton are amazing. Every year they sell 5 players, mostly to Chelsea. They make a huge profit and they don't miss a beat. I mean, the analytics there must be off the scale. You know, it's incredible, isn't it? I bet they're good at football management.
Alex, we're going to get a lot of this. Alex has just picked up his phone. Well, I was
just going to say on the subject of Brighton, it is going to be a busy day in terms of departures. Matt O'Reilly is off to link up with Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille, which is a little bit of a strange one because he started the season in the first team. Julio Enciso to Strasbourg. Obviously Chelsea's parent club, and Facundo Buonanotte to Chelsea. We expect both those deals to be confirmed today, and Jeremy Sarmiento going out on loan as well. So a lot of their players are leaving, but you're right, they just seem to keep finding ways to regenerate. And actually, it's interesting, Buonanotte, they've been quite adamant because I think Chelsea wanted a buy option in the deal. It's a straight loan. They think he's going to be back at the Amex next season. If he does well at Chelsea, is his head going to get turned? It's an interesting one.
Alex, thank you. We'll see you a bit later on. Alex Crook will be popping in throughout the afternoon. Whatever going, he'll just loom and he'll come straight in and sit down and tell us what's breaking.
I don't know why Chelsea don't change their colours like blue and white stripes.
That'd be nice, and play down on the south coast. Let's have a chat now with our very own Troy Deeney, the former Watford striker. Hi, Troy.
Hi, lads. I'm trying to give you some balance because Crookie's boring you, isn't he?
Oh, you got your Juve shirt on. Are you waiting for the call? They are looking for us. They couldn't get Kolomuani over the line. Maybe they can bring you in.
I was just thinking at 37, I'm ripe age for the Italian league.
You are. You and Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, you and Jamie Vardy over there. Cremonese is like the wild geese. Be fantastic. Yeah, be brilliant.
That'd be good.
How do players feel about deadline day, Troy, when you're all kind of sitting around in the dressing room and talking about who's going where, who's not going where? Does anybody care?
Oh, yeah, they love it. They love it. I think it's twofold. One, if you're the player who's trying to leave, you're excited, nervous, anxious, all of those emotions. And then if you're like me, been at Watford for a very long time, you're a little bit jealous, for being totally honest, that they're getting the attention as well. Like, well, I'm pretty good. Does no one want to buy me? But yeah, it's fun to watch as well. Seeing all these moves, you start second guessing what teams are going to do and how that impacts you when you play against them. So yeah, transfer deadline day is always huge.
Was there a move that you wanted that didn't come off in your career on deadline day? And was there one that you really didn't fancy touching with a barge pole when the offer came in?
You're going to say.
I got offered a couple on deadline day to go like abroad. And I tried to convince my missus to even go to shop today was hard work. So trying to get through my deadline day is hard work. So no, not really. I was always relatively safe, lads, if you get what I mean. Like, I was captain, I was at Watford, I was always getting new contracts, so life was pretty good until they kicked me out. So that was about it.
Oh, you can imagine, like, partners of the players. Yeah. Suddenly you say, do you fancy living in Lille? I say, well, the kids started school. We settled them into a new school like 2 weeks ago, or this week they're supposed to start a new school. I mean, it's often the families can be the sort of collateral damage. Obviously, there's benefits because it's a very
I'm sure they're all right, in the 8-bedroom houses with a swimming pool.
Well, maybe.
Sure they'll get over it.
What about the Nicholas Jackson situation? Have you ever experienced anything like that? It must be. I don't think he will come back.
Nicholas Odin-Wingy.
I think a deal will be done. Yeah, but it would be awkward for him to come back, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be. I just think it's mental. I've always been in that case of a deal's never done until it's done. But this new thing now of everyone posting on private jets that they're going to get the deal done, to me, leaves that area of like, would you really want to? What if? That what if moment to me is scary. And he looks very, very stupid. You just went on to like Peter Odemwingie there. That's the perfect one, is it? You'd never want to be in that situation. But I think for him, you can't go back to Chelsea. As a striker, I was number 1 last year. I'm now number 3. You've then sold me. I'm here. Oh, but because the players got injured, you want me to come back and be vested, even though you've told me all year you don't want me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think for him, he has to do the old Mexican standoff. I'm not getting back on the plane. I'll be here until further notice and hope that it just gets done.
He's got a 7-year contract, though, so if they don't want to do the deal, he'll have to come back, won't he? He's got no choice.
Yeah, of course. And that's the beauty of it as well, though, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt, lads. He's still got 7 years.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario is I go back and I'm just going to sit on this money for the next 6 years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
Let's talk about João Pedro, your old teammate. I know you had. I heard you on the station a few weeks ago saying you felt he'd be a big success at Chelsea. He's made a pretty decent start, hasn't he?
Unbelievable. I think this is the perfect stepping stone for him.
Yeah.
My concern with Liam Delap when he went was that he missed a step. I felt him going at Ipswich and then making that massive jump to Chelsea. Maybe he just missed that step of, I don't know, a Brighton, a Fulham, somewhere like that. Dare I say, a Man United at this moment. A lot of expectation to drag that team forward. João's had that at Brighton. He's done it. He's been the man. He's been the guy they all look to. I know Crookie tried to say that Brighton wouldn't miss him at all when he left. However, it seems to be a little bit different right now. To me, João's gone in. He knows when he came into Watford, he knew he wanted to be the main number 9, go to a World Cup. Now, at this moment in time, who else is Brazil going to start? It has to be him. He's got that motivation. He's at a wonderful team, Chelsea. They're all young. They're all of similar ages, similar ilk, probably having the same different conversation, different languages from different people. But it's all like, Mrs. wants a baby. What car should I be buying? Where are we all going to be living? Anyone fancy going out? When you're in that kind of group and in that environment, and then you look around and go, actually, they all want to be superstars. It's a perfect place to thrive, and I think he's going to be excellent. I said it a few weeks ago. I think he scores more than Gyökeres this season.
Well, I was going to ask you about.
I think that's.
Ask you about Gyökeres. I mean,
It depends what week we ask. Last week he was going to score 45.
Yeah.
Brings us on to the point of buying players who are Premier League ready versus buying players who have to adapt to the league, like Wirtz. We've seen he's obviously a brilliant player, but so far he hasn't hit the ground running.
Yeah, and also people don't appreciate just how physically intense it is in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Talk about it, but seeing these top players come over, like Gyökeres, he scored against Leeds. I don't want to be disparaging Leeds, but he scored 2 against Leeds. He's going to score in those type of games when they play Wolves, when they play West Ham. I expect him to get 1, 2, even 3 goals in those games. But it's a big games that are going to change for Arsenal. Did you ever think at any point yesterday he was going to score? No.
No.
I don't think he's going to score against Forest, and I don't think he's going to score against City the week after. but then he'll get 4 in the next 2 games. Everyone will go, oh, look, 40 goals a season is fantastic. It's just, he's a striker that has to have a lot of chances to score goals. And he's also coming into a league where people are scared of Arsenal. So they back off. And without Saka and without Odegaard in there, now they've got Eze. Weirdly that he didn't start, but that's another conversation. Yeah. But, you know, with these guys, that people will back off and not leave space in behind. And link-up play is not great. And I get called a hater for saying that, but seem to be right so far.
You might score against Forest if Nuno leaves and Ange comes in.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Because of half the back 4 injured at that point. One of the listeners has been in touch watching on YouTube. Tell Troy to put his clock forward. That clock behind you needs to be put forward, Troy. That's your next job.
You know what? I noticed that earlier.
Yeah.
But again, I sent the missus to the shop. She's got another job to do.
Well, it's all right for you, Troy. You've got 6 hours and 28 minutes left in the
Yeah, that's true. You've got an extra out of the window. You can get all your business done late. You can do an Andre Arshavin, can't you? Bring it a nice one. Cheers, Troy. All the best. Catch up with you soon.
Cheers, lad. See you soon.
There's Troy Deeney there. Oh, Norris has been in touch. I think Norris, you've been sending it to the wrong people, because Norris has got in touch this afternoon and said it's done in black granite, which is durable, cheap, and can carry sentimental value, which can last for centuries under any weather condition without changing or losing value.
What, sent to talkSPORT?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I take it he's got talkSPORT in his phone. He gets in touch a lot, and he's obviously quoting on a job. So, Norris, you've sent it to the wrong person. You've sent it to us. So, definitely send that to your customer. You don't want to miss out on the gig. Evertonian getting in touch said, we need a right back badly. And Martin in Newmarket says, I don't want Lemons or Martinez. I want Lemons and Martinez. And send those other 2 Mappets to play for Withenshaw under 13s.
Right.
Okay, fair enough, Martin. Thank you very much. Not a massive fan of Altai and Onana. Danny Kelly's going to join us. We're going to look back on the Premier League weekend and how it's fed into the business that is being done today and has been done so far. That's coming up very shortly.
been one of the most exhilarating transfer windows in years, but it's been filled with petulance, childishness and tantrums to boot. And both of this summer's main villains have got their way. Alexander Isak and Johan Wissa, both set to sign where they wanted.
The players' behaviour, reprehensible. The union's silence, pathetic. The culture of football, not to be admired. But it is what it is. The only thing different about a contract is it doesn't cut both ways. Because if the club stands down a player, they've still got to pay him. If a player stands down a club, he seems to be able to do what he wants, and that can't be something that people admire.
So after all the talk, it turns out the players do have the power. Manuel Petit says that's a change since his day. So does the Gunners legend reckon his old club are headed in the right direction? Well, he's not totally thrilled at the way they lost at Anfield yesterday.
They did try in the first half, but not enough for me to bring the real danger, for the goalkeeper and for the Liverpool defence. And in the second half, I was very disappointing the way they were playing.
Back to transfers. Nicholas Jackson thought he was heading to Bayern on Saturday. Then the deal was off after Liam Delap's hamstring went ping. But now, well, is it back on, Ben Jacobs?
Chelsea negotiate with Sunderland to recall Mark Guiu, the young striker who was signed from Barcelona. That gives them striker cover. So Bayern come back in now, having briefly looked at Ademola Lookman, and they are working again on getting this deal over the line.
Just before we chat to Denny Kelly, and don't forget our top team popping in throughout the afternoon to keep us right across deadline day, which now is at 5 hours, 21 minutes and 42 seconds as I speak. Andy, Facundo Buonanotte from Brighton on loan. I'm guessing that means that Jackson will be allowed to go to...
Well, no, I don't think that's connected. I think that they'll be bringing in another striker. This was always happening, and if they're going to play João Pedro as a striker, at the moment they've been playing him in place of Palmer.
Yeah.
They haven't got anybody else, although I think they
How far's Palmer off for coming back?
We don't know, do we?
Right.
Groin injuries are funny things, and they're obviously not...
It's not going to be
confident it's going to be. And so he's there for cover for that position, so we'll see what happens.
It's interesting. How much game time is he going to get, you think?
Depends on
Palmer.
Palmer.
Leeds wanted him, and he would have started for Leeds.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
interesting he's made that call.
You know, the injury attritional rate is so high. I mean, Henry Winter was saying yesterday, 60 injuries across the Premier League already.
Yeah.
It's nearly 5 teams worth of players. You
need deeper squads. Certainly my team does.
And players, if you're going to play 60, 70 games, you need
you need the depth. Danny Kelly joins us. Good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon, everybody. All good?
Yeah, we're not too bad, thank you. Yeah, it's a we've been bemoaning the fact that Tottenham have a good team, but they don't have a deep enough or good enough squad. They're trying to put that right with Colin Warney. Let's get your thoughts on that straight away. I'm sure you've been chatting to Andy Brassel about it and the possibility of him maybe coming to the Premier League. What do you make of that move?
Colin Warney is a really, really good player. I mean, beloved, for instance, of Kylian Mbappe, who likes him to be in the French team with him. Look, Spurs have got to... the news of Dominic Solanke's injury being worse than perhaps we thought it was, coming 36 hours before, or 24 hours before the end of the transfer window, meant they had to do something. My only worry about it, Paul, is you can help me with this. With the exception of Gareth Bale's second spell, which was a kind of lap of honour, do these completely dry loan transfers ever really work out? Are the players motivated enough? Although it does have the World Cup to work towards. But in terms of the quality of the player, Spurs are lucky to get him, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll find out about his level of commitment. And as Andy was saying earlier on, you've got that period of adjustment that we're seeing with Hertz, and we'll probably see with Simons, and we're seeing with a lot of players who are coming into the Premier League and having to get up to the pace. So it could take him a couple of months until you really start to see the best of him. But we'll see. Let's go to Liverpool 1, Arsenal 0 yesterday. And, of course, the big talking point from it, and Andy and I were texting each other before half-time, and it was pretty evident of what Mikel Arteta was looking to do in this game, looking to do a 1-0 smash and grab, and he would have taken the draw. That was pretty
As soon as you saw
clear.
the starting lineups, you knew what he was going to do.
And so I suppose, did it... I mean, I personally think that if Odegaard had been 100% and Saka was playing, he may have been a little bit more front foot and gone it in a different way. But what do you think, Danny?
I think this is a wake-up call for Mikel Arteta, who could justifiably have pointed at the last 19 games he's played prior to this against teams from the so-called top six, where they had lost precisely none, but hadn't won a huge amount of them, about half of them. So perhaps now that he can be unconvinced that he can just always get these draws that he needs against these big teams, perhaps he can then, concentrate more on trying to get an actual win. I mean, there was nothing in the game, was it? It was a predictably dour games, lit up by Szoboszlai's performance. Right back. Who knew? Where he was kind of like a Trent Alexander-Arnold passing machine, but with even more engine. Never mind his free kick. I'm not sure I agree, Paul. I think Arsenal are set up psychologically to not lose these games, and having lost this one, it may force the manager to rethink that policy, because it is arguable that this has cost them the title twice in the last 3 years, although equally losing points to West Ham or whoever is equally responsible.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I just thought it was a bit of negative performance, really. And it was a great time to play Liverpool.
It was.
Liverpool are going to be a lot better than
they haven't hit their straps yet, and you kind of feel there was ever a moment to get on the front foot and go there and impose yourself. Based on what we've seen so far of the team, that was the day to do it, Danny.
I agree. Paul's just back from his holiday. Still the colour of a mahogany sideboard. I can't find a way to agree with him. Going to Liverpool, there's never really a good time with this team. They're so physically strong. The threat, which you haven't seen turn into reality yet, of Mohamed Salah means that you can't. You're always looking over your shoulder. Goodness knows how they're going to fit in the two centre forwards. But I take your point. They're settling in a whole lot of a relatively new amount of players. They had a makeshift right back and all the rest of it. It might have been a time, but look, let's be honest. If Arsenal had got a draw there, they'd be making themselves favourites for the title, but it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I mean, what a free kick. What more can you say? It was just ludicrously,
wasn't it?
Ludicrously.
It was interesting to hear Ryder talking about the new ball, the Puma ball.
Yeah. Although when you've just let one in, you should maybe park that. You shouldn't start talking about, I've got to get used to the ball, really.
I don't think you'd have saved that.
Surely it's Arteta's job to complain about the new ball.
Brighton, Manchester City, what a turnaround for Brighton. And so, I mean, what are we learning about City so far, Danny?
Well, I'm going to ask you a wider question about that, Paul. First of all, it's about recruitment. Brighton were able to make, when they were behind, 4 substitutions in the space of 60 seconds and bring on really, really good players, right? And what I'd ask you, and we'll get on to James Milner in a second, what I would ask you is, Manchester City's recent recruitment, I mean the 2 transfer windows, this one, the one before, where they also spent big. We know they've got a great manager. We know that things will improve for them from the mess of last season. But the truth is, are we frightened by the players that Manchester City are bringing in anymore? I think we used to be genuinely scared. When they were already a good team, went off and got Kyle Walker, who at that time was clearly the best right back in England, if not in Europe. It was terrifying. And they were bringing in the very, very, very best players. And now I'm not so sure that I'm frightened. I'm frightened of what Pep Guardiola might turn them into, but in the present tense, they don't seem to be bringing in players that are any more scary than those that, say, Liverpool and other teams, Arsenal, are bringing to the Premier League.
I've written in my book, they've lost that cloak of invincibility.
Oh,
I think they have. And also, there must be a possibility that this is Pep's last season if they don't turn it around. I'm not saying they won't, but if they don't, he looks sort of at the end of his tether last year. I don't think you could take another season with it. And they just don't look quite right, especially defensively.
It's some. I mean, look, we have to be truthful and say that this was Rodri's first game back in 3/4 of a year, and maybe that defence has lacked the invincible shield, if you like, of the person who's been voted the best player in the world as recently. I still think that you're right, though, Andy. I think Diaz is not the player he was 2 years ago for whatever reason. Stones is a couple of years older and not quite the player he was. They're relying on Kuzanov coming through, and I think it's a bit, ideally they would have had another year for him. Gvardiol, they ended up playing him at left back. It's not quite clicked for them in the back four. Again, neither in terms of the players they had or the recruitment they've made.
And a bold piece of management, quadruple substitutions. We applaud that, and he made a big difference.
And a slightly too short shirt jacket in the Mao style.
Oh, okay, Andy, some fashion tips there for...
Could have been been an untuck it, I felt.
Okay, nice, okay. Danny Kelly's with us.
Still paying out.
We're going to work our way through, apart from keeping you in touch with all the latest transfer news, one of our top team will be here very shortly to keep us updated. We're looking at how yesterday's games has fed into some of the last-minute business that is being done. More from Danny in a moment. We're here with Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station. Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. 5 hours, 9 minutes, 11 seconds till the window closes. Danny Kelly's with us. We're looking back at the weekend's football and how it feeds into some of the last-minute business that is getting done or could be done today. Chelsea-Fulham, Danny, really dominated by a pretty appalling a bit of officialdom, two officials disappearing up their own fundament.
Yeah.
And
I've had a good idea, though. What they should do, if you live near Stockley Park, just go to the generator and just unplug it during football matches. It'd be tremendous.
I did ask the question of Mr. VAR, our friend from ESPN, Dale Johnson, yesterday. It was a semi-serious question. Why isn't Howard Webb there in the nerve centre, sitting there like Blofeld in a big chair? And he could easily be in the ear of Michael Salisbury saying, no, Michael, no need to get involved there. I mean, Dale makes the point you can't have the main man micromanaging everything. But he's the one who has to come out and apologise 10 minutes later. And Fulham gets sawn off. And who knows how that game could have gone otherwise.
Look, we said that the Liverpool-Arsenal game was quite a dull match. But at least it was decided by a piece of brilliant football. Here we have a game which, and I've got no skin in the game for either Fulham or Chelsea. But because it'll be Chelsea get sawn off next week, Yeah, of course. But the officials essentially decided the football match. Really, really unfortunate. I mean, and we'll get accused of being repetitive or old men shouting at clouds. But if we don't protest about, what are we now? It's 6 seasons into VAR, and it is as chaotic as ever and as liable to reach the wrong conclusion as ever. People will say, "Oh, but Danny, they won't change it now." Well, if they don't, they are, in my opinion, they are in danger of undermining the popularity of the game. Let me tell you what I mean by that. People like me, you, Paul, Andy, we're going to keep going to the games and loving the games because we're addicted to it. But the thing that made us addicts in the first place is now being taken out of the game. The excitement of a goal going in, the celebration of that excitement, the moments. And I don't think that young people, if they can afford to go to games or watching it on the TV, will become addicted to a sport which is now, I think Scott Parker mentioned it as well at the weekend, didn't he? You kind of have to wait to see if the natural feelings you're having are going to be reflected by a group of officials. They're in danger of taking away the future of the game. I mean it. It's as serious as that. And this was ridiculous. And they've searched high and holy. I think they found one professional who thought it was a foul by Muniz. I mean, let's be honest. When Caicedo stood on Iwobi in the build-up to the penalty, that was more of a foul.
No, he won the ball. I don't agree with that. He won the ball.
Sure, all right.
No, I don't agree with that. But I think it was a penalty. The first one was a ridiculous decision. The penalty was a penalty, I think. But it doesn't really matter because
it does require.
Sort of. I think more of a problem. I think VAR is a problem. I think sterile matches is a problem as well. Teams passing backwards, possession for possession's sake, only one team wanting to win. All this isn't doing football a lot of favours.
Well, no, but that's what coaches do, isn't it? They did try and negate what the other people and the other team are going to do. Also, one more thing on this. Everything that they do to try and rectify this situation makes it worse. Now, the referee announcing their decisions once again puts the officials into the spotlight. They should be a background feature of football matches, not the main attraction. That's what the danger is now. That when he was announcing the completely wrong decision about careless challenge, completely wrong, and the wrong description of what happened. He was absolutely puffed up like John Gielgud at the National Theatre or something. It was extraordinary.
Yeah. It doesn't add anything. Max Russian yesterday on the warm had a very good idea. So you collect all the referees' voices and have a quiz where you have to guess who's actually speaking.
Guess who's speaking. Well, like Simon Hooper's Norman Collier impression.
It doesn't add anything, does it, really?
Just to let you know, Manuel Akanji looks like he's off to Inter. He'd been linked with one or two clubs in this country, but it looks like Inter with a loan fee and a 15 million option to buy. So Akanji possibly on his way to Inter. Andy Brassel joins us, Danny's partner in crime on Trans Europe Express every Sunday. Will join us and we'll look at those European deals. Sad bit of news from the world of boxing has emerged in the last half hour. Both Gareth A. Davis from Fight Night and Frank Warren, promoter, mourning the passing of Joe Bugner, Danny and Andy.
Oh, really?
Joe just died age 75. a man front and centre of boxing in the 70s and 80s in this country. Fought Ali twice, fought Joe Frazier, broke the heart of old school.
Him, I'm sure we
we did a couple of times. Old school British fight fans when he beat Henry Cooper. He's a great boxing character and a fine boxer, great defensive boxer, wasn't he, Danny?
Look, he was underrated, and in fact, he was disliked by the British public because of that controversial victory over Henry Cooper, who was like the nation's darling. But with perhaps a little bit more devil, he could have utilised all that physical ability he had and his defensive skills to go even higher in the game. But look, if you only look at the fights he lost to greats. I mean, all-time legends of the game. He was a brilliant fighter, Joe Bugner. And I think, as I say, a little bit poorly treated sometimes by the British press and the British people.
We've still got a fair bit of ground to cover. So
Can we get another game in before.
Let's have a look. I don't know if we've got time. I tell you, we will squeeze some in when we come back. It may have to be a whistle-stop tour because of deadline day. We're going to hear from Phil Jones in a moment. Anil Kandola's had a chat with Phil, former Manchester United and England defender, earlier on. So we'll hear a bit of that. We'll get more from Danny, work our way through the remaining games, and lots more besides. It's transfer deadline day here on talkSPORT. Just over 5 hours left to the window slam shut. You won't miss a thing. Stick with us. We're right across all the deals and the rumours.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon with your headlines at 2 o'clock. I'm Uma Gurav. It's all kicking off on transfer deadline day. Can Liverpool hit their mark in time? They face a race against time to sign Guehi from Palace, but they're confident of getting it done. Meanwhile, Spurs have agreed a loan deal with PSG's Randall Kolo Muani. Sporting Lisbon are now trying to hijack Shakhtar winger Kevin's move to Fulham. Aston Villa have announced the signing of free agent Victor Lindelof on a 2-year deal, and now they're looking to land Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. So why the wait on this one, Alex Crook?
The hold up on this one is the amount of money that Liverpool want in terms of of an obligation. They've been quoting interested parties, RB Leipzig among them, more than £40 million all summer. I think Villa are trying to push it closer to £35 million.
In the last few minutes, we've had confirmation of Julio Enciso's move from Brighton to Strasbourg. Elsewhere, Yoann Wissa's transfer from Brentford to Newcastle is on, but Simon is not impressed.
The players' behaviour, reprehensible. The union's silence, pathetic. The culture of football, not to be admired. But it is what it is. The only thing different about a contract is it doesn't cut both ways. Because if the club stands down a player, they've still got to pay him. If a player stands down a club, he seems to be able to do what he wants. And that can't be something that people admire.
And Nicholas Jackson and Bayern Munich, will they or won't they? Ben Jacobs is the man to ask.
Chelsea negotiate with Sunderland to recall Mark Guiu, the young striker who was signed from Barcelona. That gives them striker cover. So Bayern come back in now, having briefly looked at Ademola Lookman, and they are working again on getting this deal over the line.
Stay tuned to talkSPORT and stay glued to the live blog at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
More than 800 people are reported to have died in an earthquake in Afghanistan, and the Home Secretary is going to set out plans to tighten rules around migrants bringing their families to the UK. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
A day of sunny spells and showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with the risk of hail and thunder. It's feeling a little cooler than yesterday.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT on transfer deadline day. The window closes at 7, of course, this evening, and we'll be right across it throughout the afternoon. The boys on drive will take over at 4, Andy and Darren, and then from 6:30, Jim White, Alex Crook, and Danny Murphy joining the boys as the window closes. Our top team of experts going to be popping in throughout the afternoon to keep us updated. We'll return to our game-by-game review of the weekend with Danny Kelly after we've chatted to Anil Kandona. Hi, Anil.
A very good afternoon. Happy deadline day, gentlemen.
Yes,
it is a very, very busy one this afternoon, isn't it?
It is looking quite lively. So what's the latest?
Yeah, there is so much to go off with so little time. I just want to start with Manchester United. Sunderland is at Carrington, we believe, to complete his move to Manchester United. 21 million euros plus add-ons. There's no sell-on clause in there on a 5-year contract. Of course, there was that a bit of a battle almost between him and, of course, Emi Martinez. I actually spoke exclusively this morning to ex-Manchester United defender Phil Jones and asked him if his former club should have signed Le Mans or potentially Emi Martinez with his experience. I believe we can hear from him now.
No-brainer. Emi Martinez, absolute no-brainer, because you need someone in that position who's got authority, who's played at that level before, who can come into a club like Man United, which is a heavy shirt to wear, but a rewarding one at the same time, and deal with that pressure. And there's no doubt in my mind that Emi Martinez would be able to do that. He's played at the highest level, won the World Cup with Argentina, been a terrific goalkeeper for Aston Villa. So for me, that one's a no-brainer. So it depends what sort of characteristics Man United are looking for in that department, but certainly I would go with Martinez.
You feel his powers have been waning a bit, though, Martinez,
Slightly,
don't
but
you?
I also think it's a big risk signing a new goalie. Maybe they're going to sign both. You know, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if they did. They need to do something about their goalkeeping situation. But, you know, coming into this team with the pressure that's on them, he's going to have to be good, isn't he? So,
yeah, I mean, another young guy coming into this league cold. There's always that element of risk that you haven't got with Martinez.
No, exactly that. You know, so many players with big potential have joined Manchester United and have unfortunately fallen by the wayside. You know, we've been hearing all summer about the so-called bomb squad. And just a bit of further information on that supposed bomb squad. Malaysia is the only one who's struggling at the moment to find a move. We're understanding here at talkSPORT. All of the others have already completed or on the verge of completing a new move. So, yeah, a difficult time for Malaysia. Moving forward, a difficult time. It has been anyway for Yoann Wissa's. But we understand the move to Newcastle, his desired move, will be happening, of course. The fee is fixed at 55 million, half to be paid this summer and half to be paid next summer. There's a 25% sell-on clause, which is a little bit redundant given the fact he's 29 in just 2 days' time. So, yeah, plenty to go off, of course, here on talkSPORT. But remember, you can keep all up to date with the live blog over on talksport.com.
Thanks very much, Anil. We're from Anil and Alex throughout the afternoon. Danny Kelly is with us. We're going game by game through the Premier League weekend and how it feeds into the window. Spurs, Bournemouth, a 1-0 to Bournemouth. I was there, Danny. Brilliant performance by Bournemouth. They were fantastic. Didn't give Tottenham a moment's peace, and they really couldn't cope with it.
Yeah, this will be looked upon by some people as the headline is about Spurs and their creativity, but the story here is how brilliant Bournemouth played. Although David Brooks and Antoine Semenyo absolutely tore Spurs to pieces again and again and again. Thomas Frank, first stub of his toe for Spurs, though he played an essentially defensive midfield against a team that largely bypasses midfield and looks for their forward players more directly, and found them with monotonous regularity. But absolutely no side at all about this. Bournemouth were brilliant, and Iraola can replace a whole back four, but because the system is so intense and it works, just brilliant. And I was shocked how bad Spurs were until I realised that was a bias on my part and started to watch the game through just watch the football's being played. It was all being played by Bournemouth.
I only saw the highlights. I was thinking, at one point I wrote down, have Spurs had an attack in this game?
No.
And it took 68 minutes.
68 minutes for a shot on target from Bergvall. It was a tough watch. Subsequently, I was not a happy man Saturday evening.
But they need Simon Spurs. It's something we said, Danny, when you were on with me about, if it's all right if Spurs are ahead playing like this, but if they go behind, the lack of creativity, and so that's why they've bought him.
And the only players they can bring on are young players still, although, spent a lot of money on Tell, but both Tell and Odebear don't make the kind of impact at the moment that you would expect.
I mean, it's almost a vicious circle. They don't make an impact, so they don't get into the team. So they don't get a chance to make an impact, so they don't get into the team. Thomas Frank, of course, is a smart guy. He'll know all this. And when the transfer window, is it still slamming shut in these days?
Yes, very much so, slamming.
Good. When it slams shut, he will look at what he's got and plan accordingly. But the arrival of Kolo Muani tells you that Odobert and Tell are probably going to get even less chances than they're currently getting. And this is the danger of spending 30 million rather than 60 million on players if you're one of the richer clubs in the league. Always buying potential rather than buying some... I hate the phrase oven ready. It makes them sound like Sunday dinner, doesn't it?
Premier League ready.
Yes.
Yeah, Premier League ready. Thank you. That's better. Yes. Yeah. Footballers. It can lead to you having a load of really decent players who never get a chance.
Now, a couple of things have impacted on Manchester United, Burnley the other day. Namely that Kobbie Mainoo's probably not going anywhere because Cunha's picked up a muscle injury by the look of it. So, and he's probably going to get now more game time. And of course, the goalkeeping situation. And they've, as Andy just said, maybe they're going to bring in two keepers. I think Mark...
Yeah, but they can't both play, can they?
No,
this is the problem.
No, that's true.
That would be a better formation than what United defend currently, wouldn't it?
It's mad with United. I was listening to this game at the end of it, and the excitement that they got for beating Burnley, you think to yourself...
They had to win, though. I can understand.
I know they had to win.
It was relief, wasn't it?
It was, I suppose. But, in the end, you think, oh, blimey, this is really covering up quite a lot of problems here. It wasn't a great performance, was it, really?
It was a really good game, though, because lots and lots and lots of things happened, and the officials were involved as well. But it was a really...
they were good first half. They were good enough first half.
They played well, Manchester United. They did. And then they made mistakes at the back. And this is the pattern that we sometimes see at Old Trafford. I guess the big question here is Jadon Anthony. It's human nature, I know, and they're hanging on to... they're desperate to keep that point they got. But nobody asked the question, why did he do it? Not what he did, or outside the penalty box. Why on earth was he holding the bloke's shirt in the first place? No need for it. He had a colleague, still goals side of a mad, and he could have scored. But once you give the penalty away, you're thinking, well, now they will score. They frustrate me sometimes, footballers, because they do things. It's this heat at the moment. I'm not on the pitch there with 60,000 people screaming at me, obviously. But he had no need to do that. It was a shame.
But Amorim, not watching the penalties again, and you think to yourself, all right, if you're doing this for superstition, I'm quite a superstitious person. We all are in football to an extent. You think to yourself, well, you didn't watch the other night and they didn't win the penalty, so why don't you watch now? Because it's obviously not unlucky for you not to watch. You know what I mean? You might as well watch and at least make yourself look like a man, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
at least look like a man.
Well, you know what I mean? Not sort of somebody that's cowering, you know, in the dugout or
at least he wasn't
playing like this. You know, you think, come on, mate. You know, you just got to face it. Like, you're asking your team to face these penalties. You've got to be the same.
But he wasn't playing travel chess, at least, which is what he looked like he was doing in the game at Grimsby.
Of the many memes, I thought the best one was him playing Operation. He was having a game of Operation. That was one of the finer ones.
So it's good for Scott Parker. He'll get one of the PGMOL basket of macaroons they're giving out, macarons rather, they're giving out this year for mistakes when Howard sends you an apology.
Yeah.
Rather than flowers that you got last year.
Yeah, okay.
Just a thought on this. If you take out part-timers like Ranić, the last 3 permanent long-term Manchester United managers have all been sacked in the last 4 days. It's an extraordinary fact, isn't it? Mourinho,
that's a very good point.
Solskjaer and Ten Hag have all gone in the space of 72, 80 hours.
Wow.
It doesn't mean anything.
No, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine they'll be on the after-dinner circuit in 15 years, all 4 of them on stage after Amorim's gone. Be like the Rat Pack.
No, they'll be doing that ad like Tony Poulis.
Yeah, that's it.
Sam
and
Allardyce.
Pards.
That one.
Yes, now we've got a few West Ham fans in and around the building. One of them, Will Pugh's going to join us later on. They've all got a bit of a spring in their step after the last 6 or 7 minutes of that game yesterday.
Who could have thought that West Ham could go away one of the hardest away trips in the league and win 3-0?
I know.
It's mad.
They just fell apart after the first goal went in Forest with a sort of sheer disappointment. It was a strange performance by them. And Paquetá, it's funny, Will Pugh said, West Ham fan from the Sun, who's going to join us later on for a chat. He said, I'm still worried Paquetá's going to go. I thought, you don't run to the fans, do the phone mime, kiss the badge, and then go. That would be the ultimate reverse.
Could not let him go.
I don't think that's happening, Danny, is it?
Look, no. I mean, this game illustrated to me, and, I've written West Ham off in previous games. I knew they'd get whacked by Chelsea, for instance. But this season, it'll settle down a little bit once the transfer window slams. But it's really hard to judge nearly all the teams in the Premier League at the moment. There's a fluidity about their performances one week to the next. I'm not suggesting for a moment I thought West Ham would win this game. But it was interesting to watch Forest get frustrated because they couldn't do what they wanted to do. And then first Callum Wilson changed the energy of the game. And then Crescencio Somerville took advantage of the game, having already changed, to tear Nottingham Forest apart. And again, illustrative that you need people on the bench who can actually influence the game, not just bodies to replace people because they're a bit tired, but people who can actually influence the game. And West Ham did that.
Very good point from Stan Collymore. He said, what bad timing this is for Nuno. He's about to have a conversation with the owner about his future, and they're going to lose 3-0 at home to the worst team in the league. That's not too clever.
I mean, it was a strange performance. So, what? I'll tell you what, we're going to keep talking to Danny, and we'll have another window update for you very shortly. We're keeping an eye on it. There was a feeling that Manor Solomon may stay at Spurs. But it seems Palace are showing an interest in him, maybe bringing him in, whether that's a loan or a purchase, I don't know. But we'll keep an eye on that one for you. And the word is that Manchester United, as we've just discussing, have told Kobbie Mainoo that he will not be going anywhere today. And with that injury to Cunha, maybe he probably won't want to now. Less of a pressing need for him to head out. He probably will get more game time. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. More from Danny Kelly shortly. We're right across the window for all the breaking stories today and all the Donna rumours, as Andy is calling them. We're still waiting the white smoke from City on that one because it looks like that's happening. So that's all to come. We're ready to help at over 580 stations are our good friends at Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station. Yes, 4 hours, 41 minutes, 20 seconds still to go to the window closes. And a little bit of news for you around Newcastle. It might slightly trouble Newcastle fans, and our expectation is they will knock it back. But apparently Eintracht Frankfurt have made a bid for Will Osula, 28.5 million, they're saying. West Ham inquired about whether he'd be available, but Eintracht have made a firm offer.
I think you need 3 strikers.
You do.
You do.
I think most Newcastle fans would think, hang on, we don't want to be selling another striker. You are going to need some backup. Who knows what could happen with Voltemada or Visser. So
as soon as you get one injury, they're down to one striker. You need 3.
I'd be surprised if that's accepted, Danny, wouldn't you?
Yes, it's so late. There's so much going on at Newcastle. They probably need stability right now rather than further outgoings, particularly in that part of the team. I'd be amazed if they let him go.
Maybe we should touch on that now. I mean, there wasn't it was last on Match of the Day. It was. Yeah. I mean, there was.
It's quite interesting to see Voldemar in the stands. Luckily, the bloke behind him was quite tall.
Yeah,
it
was already
restricted view.
I was quite impressed that they managed to find him at 6'6", find him a club suit. Maybe they had an old one of Scholar's in the cupboard that he could put on.
Oh no, they just borrowed Dan Burns, don't they?
Oh yeah, I suppose they do. That's it. Yeah. Dan Burns' backup suit he was wearing. It wasn't quite, but it's going to be interesting to see how he fares. But I did have a feeling this would be a draw. I went for that in the Falls panel the other day. Actually, I think our Evertonian listener, our panel beater, went for the 0-0. I always felt that it could be that kind of game. It wasn't much of a watch.
Well, as we are struggling to get through all the games, I don't think we need to waste too much human energy on this one. A lot of human energy wasted on the pitch to not much effect at all. When the highlight of the day in the stadium is the appearance of an expensive footballer in the stand, and luckily for the fella behind him, Voltemada wasn't wearing a hat. Otherwise, he really would have been struggling. I watched this game, and my notes are really, really thin gruel. You start off by saying, "Oh look, they've had 2 successive corners." Then you realise that's the highlight of the match. I think you should move on, Paul. Frankly,
I think we should.
Before the Oscar music.
It should be said that
nothing to see here.
Newcastle will be so much better when they've got their team strike.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, a good point for Leeds this early on in the season when they're coming up, just building a bit of confidence. And
the teams that have come up are showing a more guts for it, I think, than you might argue than some of the teams in the previous seasons.
We'll come on to Sunderland in a minute on that basis. Villa 0, Palace 3. Villa are starting to try and remedy some of their issues with Jadon Sancho and Harvey Elliott. We're actually going to talk to Rupert very shortly because Luke Donald's making his Ryder Cup wildcard picks, and once they've all been announced, we'll cross to Rupert Bell and get his thoughts on that and a bit of Villa.
Great result for Palace, though, after an away trip in Europe.
There's a good way to leave a football club if he does go to Liverpool, Mark Gay, before the end of the day, and a bad way. And I'm sure if Gay goes back to Palace with Liverpool, he'll get a rousing reception, probably unlike Visser and Isak, I would imagine.
Look, this was it. I mean, you're right. Villa are scrambling to be what they want to be. I think they're bringing in Lindelof as well, so they're really bringing a lot of people into the club at the last minute. But it was just so Crystal Palace, wasn't it? They don't require majority of the possession. They're so strong, they're so organised, and they have got threats up front. Even with the departure of Eza, this is what they do. And I'm afraid I'm bundling Aston Villa. Their fans may not thank them for it into that sort of, and it's a very large group of mid-table teams, so you won't know what you're going to get from week to week to week. Palace are that, but we know that they will at least be difficult to beat, as they proved here. The highlight for me was Mateta getting booked for kicking the corner flag. Does that mean that Jamie Vardy, when he broke the corner flag, should have got a red card back in the day with a similar celebration? Because really booked for kicking the corner flag? What? They cannot keep themselves out of the spotlight, the officials, can they? They're just loving it at the moment.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
Let's have a chat about Wolves Everton. Another fine victory for Everton. Another good day out.
Good attacking weapons now, Everton.
For Jack Grealish, and that link up with Dewsbury Hall is looking pretty potent, isn't it?
I mean, we've done it many times on this programme, and everyone deserves criticism when they deserve criticism. But overall, David Moyes is just a fantastic football manager. You're not going to get Barcelona 2011 from him, but he is a really, really good football manager. And to watch how quickly, I know he's brought in personnel as well, but how quickly he's transformed Everton to the point where in this game, the word I wrote down, watching the highlights, was they look fluid. I mean, for the last 15 years, they've looked like lava. Hardening, haven't they, at Everton? Suddenly they got fluidity about them, and you know your luck is in as well when Jack Grealish assists with his head. So I don't know whether it's too early to start worrying about Wolves yet. The results are worrying, but whether or not they're getting what they deserve. Watching Everton playing away from home, don't forget, when they used to set up, and again, there are certain gravel-voiced managers who won't be pleased with this, when they used to set up to make the game a kind of war, an attritional stress for everybody.
You'd probably argue he didn't have the weapons, but I know what you're saying.
You sure?
Dewsbury Hall, though, I liked him a lot at Chelsea. I'm pleased for him. He's a good player.
I'm so glad, Andy, because you said that, because I didn't want to turn into another Danny Drinkwater, and that was what I was fearing for this lad, because he can play, and he just happened to be at the wrong club, and this stuff happens all the time to players, and if he'd got parked at Chelsea, never getting in the team, it would have been a complete waste of talent, which is, along with injuries, I suppose
he played enough to show that
things.
he's a really good player, though. He did a good job for Chelsea.
It was a great finish, wasn't it? Absolutely. Let's have a quick word then before we go. Sunderland versus Brentford. Sunderland have gone into the market. Brian Brobby has come in.
Mr.
The Dutch striker.
It's a bit of an old reference, but I've written down here. Kent Walton would have liked Sunderland Brentford. All right, grappling fans.
Yes, there was a lot of grappling going on.
Yeah, well, I thought that was one of the better pieces of officiating this weekend, because at least he tried to do something about what we all know is another scourge, where everybody ignores the ball, tries to pull people down. It is ridiculous. So well done to the referee there. Of course, there was so much going on again with the officiating there. This is one of the things, but the late goal is explicable. We're going to get a lot of late goals because the VAR in particular is taking up so much time. They're adding the time on, but players are tired. They're also tired in a different way. They haven't run for 96 minutes. They stopped running for 10 of those 96 minutes while, decisions are being made. Did the Ipswich game go on for nearly 20 minutes yesterday or Saturday? It went on for almost 20 minutes, beyond the allotted time. Nearly all to do with refereeing decisions and all the rest of it. Andy, are you worried about Brentford? Because it looks like Igor Thiago is going to get them a lot of goals.
No, I'm not worried about Brentford at all. There's definitely three teams worse than them. And in this game, they should have been... By the time he scored, it should have been 3-0. They should have been out of sight in this match. But they weren't, so fair play to...
Just on that way, Patrick Roberts, the Sunderland player, looks like he's off to Birmingham City on loan. So it would have been interesting to see him in the Premier League.
It's interesting that Wrexham splashing a bit of cash.
They are. Well. Ben Sheaf's gone there from Carvers, and he will keep
the most money ever spent by a team in the Championship in one window.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
$6 million they've spent on Ben Sheaf, I think. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on what's going on in the EFL as well, of course. Danny, for now, we will catch up with you soon next week.
Good
and you'll be back Sunday night for a Trans Europe Express, I take it.
Yes, that's in. I should be able to work out exactly how many hours it is from that clock behind you, Andy, but my maths are not good enough if I'm truthful.
Take care, Danny. All the best. Thanks a lot.
Bless you all. See you next week. Cheers. Bye.
Danny Kelly, 4 hours, 32 minutes, 45
Here's one that's
seconds.
come right out of the blue.
What's that?
Tyreek George is set to join Fulham in a permanent transfer from Chelsea.
Really?
Package worth $22 million. Plus a sell-on clause, and
I've seen him linked with a couple of loan deals overseas. But you're saying they're claiming that he could.
This is the Athletics, so they're usually David Ornstein. He's usually pretty spot on.
Yeah,
and that's an interesting deal for both clubs actually, because I do rate him. He's got a lot of talent, and Saturday was so unfair on him, sticking him up.
But a permanent. You're a bit sad it's a permanent.
No, they need the money.
They have to get, and you'll get a good sell on, I'm sure.
I think they need the money, and they also.
Yeah,
they get that. Him and Jackson go out. They can then bring in
good business for Fulham. Striker. You'd say
good business for Fulham. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, there we are.
Better than signing Raheem Sterling.
At one point, Roma were in the box seat, but it didn't get done.
It's got talent. There's no question.
Yeah. Fulham have stepped in. Tyreek George has been getting some game time for Chelsea. Off to Fulham. Then we're going to talk Villa, but we're going to talk goal first because Luke Donald has been making his wildcard captain's picks for the Ryder Cup, and Rupert Bell joins us now. Good afternoon, Rupert.
Good afternoon. I hope you weren't going to talk to me about Villa, but I am talking to you from the because it was awful. But I am talking to you on the day that Luke Donald has announced his pick from Stratford-upon-Avon Golf Club, and a bit of golfing history. Sam Ryder had hoped to play the Ryder Cup here at Stratford-upon-Avon when he was launching it. He was captain here in 1929.
Wow.
A bit of useless sporting nostalgia for you.
Not the singer.
So, no, not Sam. No, not that one. Yes, that's his name, isn't it?
Sam Ryder,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah. I doubt if it's him, Andy. Wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
It wouldn't really.
So, who has he chosen then, Rupert? Tell us.
No real surprise. Basically, if you look at the team from Italy, all you're doing is swapping a Højgaard for a Højgaard. Rasmus Højgaard got in automatically, and the 6 captains' picks are the ones that we were expecting. Shane Lowry, John Rahm, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Eiberg, Sepp Straka, and Matt Fitzpatrick, who I suppose people might say is the one that was maybe a little bit vulnerable, but over the last couple of weeks he's been playing well. His form has improved significantly. His Ryder Cup record isn't fantastic, but he is a US Open major winner. So you can see what Luke Donald's done there. He's top-loaded with only one experience, and all are used to playing in America, all their golf. And Rasmus Højgaard obviously is the exception here, but he's always been regarded as a very talented player, but he got in automatically. So when you look at the 6 captain picks, he's gone for what he knows, but what he knows he needs is people who can deal with the special environment that they will be playing in at Bethpage, which is going to be raucous, and it will be at times they will be copping an awful lot of flack. So they've got to be able to manage that, and that's why Luke Donald has gone for what he knows. And of course, he's a very good calming influence, but with all the players understanding the Ryder Cup, they can help Rasmus Højgaard through. But in real terms, it looks on paper a strong team that should be able to take it to the Americans as long as they can deal with the atmosphere.
So, yeah, I saw you tweeting about Villa's very poor performance the other day. But it looks like Harvey Elliott's coming in and Jadon Sancho. How do you feel about that business today, Rupert?
We need all the help we can get because the team yesterday were devoid of all ideas. We got injury problems, obviously. We need defenders. Harvey Elliott will be an interesting one. And Sancho, I would be very happy. We need some fresh blood in the team because we were as ordinary as it felt like. I've never known going to a game when there was a sense of doom and gloom amongst the supporters. It was my first game of the season. I couldn't go to the Newcastle one. But we were all turning up there and just having my pre-match pint near the Holt End, like yesterday, the sort of sense of doom and gloom, almost as if we expected what happened. Not as, there was a bit of a brief flurry in the second half, but it was ordinary. And in fact, our first 3 performances have been very substandard, and we're nowhere near the team we were last year. It's been a very strange summer because PSR, where you look at, Newcastle can suddenly go and spend, they must have spent nearly 500 million on transfers.
We're going to talk about this later. Yeah.
And you go, I don't know how much your team have spent, Andy, but it's presumably quite a lot. They got some back, obviously, with selling this guy, what you just announced. But we seem to have been like rabbit in headlights with PSR, and I don't know what. So it's been frustrating. But if Elliott and Sancho, those get over the line, that will be some fresh blood just to give the players something. And obviously they come with good reputations. So I feel that's not the worst bit of business.
Yeah, and Lindelof as well.
Indeed. Oh, yeah, and Lindelof on loan. That's anyway, Rupert, keep your chin up. We'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'll do my best, but I'm looking forward to being in Bethpage, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Well, we look forward to that. Yeah, we're going to have regular updates and coverage of all the Ryder Cup. Rupert being the top team will be out there. Thank you, Rupert. Little bit of news that Lyon tried to sign Fabio Carvalho, but Brentford have knocked it back. Apparently not interested in selling. In the last 10 minutes, that Tyreek George to Fulham story has emerged. Alex Crook and Anil Condola will be popping in throughout the afternoon to keep us updated on what's going on.
I felt for him on Saturday as well. He knew he was going. I mean, it was obvious. And he was being asked to play out of position.
Yeah.
For a team he knows he's leaving. It was difficult.
It was. The Gianluigi Donnarumma deal looks like it's edging ever closer. That could be one of the big ones.
Fabrizio said it's a here we go.
Has he really?
Yeah.
He's gone with a here we go. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll await the white smoke from the Etihad. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Window closing at 7. Jim White, Alex Crook, Danny Murphy here from 6:30. Before that, Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent, right across all the deals. We're with you through until 4. Don't go anywhere. We'll have all the latest breaking stories and the new rumours that are emerging this afternoon. And we will be talking a little bit about how Liverpool can go out and spend a king's ransom and Villa can't spend anything. I mean, you know, there are sound financial reasons for that, and we'll find out what they are in a few moments' time.
Well, it's been one of the most exhilarating transfer windows in years, but it's been filled with petulance, childishness and tantrums to boot. And both of this summer's main villains have got their way. Alexander Isak and Johan Wissa, both set to sign where they wanted.
The players' behaviour, reprehensible. The union's silence, pathetic. The culture of football, not to be admired. But it is what it is. The only thing different about a contract is it doesn't cut both ways. Because if the club stands down a player, they've still got to pay him. If a player stands down a club, he seems to be able to do what he wants, and that can't be something that people admire.
So after all the talk, it turns out the players do have the power. Manuel Petit says that's a change since his day. So does the Gunners legend reckon his old club are headed in the right direction? Well, he's not totally thrilled at the way they lost at Anfield yesterday.
They did try in the first half, but not enough for me to bring the real danger, for the goalkeeper and for the Liverpool defence. And in the second half, I was very disappointing the way they were playing.
Back to transfers. Nicholas Jackson thought he was heading to Bayern on Saturday. Then the deal was off after Liam Delap's hamstring went ping. But now, well, Is it back on, Ben Jacobs?
Chelsea negotiate with Sunderland to recall Mark Guiu, the young striker who was signed from Barcelona. That gives them striker cover. So Bayern come back in now, having briefly looked at Ademola Lookman, and they are working again on getting this deal over the line.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. 4 hours, 21 minutes, 3 seconds to the window slam.
Those 3 seconds could make all the difference.
It could. And remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest transfer news this deadline down the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. Brian Hill looks like he's off to Girona. The Spurs winger has been there for a number of years, had a number of loans. Tottenham going to.
They won't be getting a testimonial then.
No, Tottenham are going to take a hit of around sort of 12, 15 million pounds. A player that physically was never suited to the Premier League, and I'm surprised the scouting didn't pick that up. A player that would often go head down under a challenge when he did play games and wonder why he wasn't getting a free kick.
Kieran will be able to tell us about this. The loss on a player isn't necessarily the difference between what you pay for him and what you sell, because they get a write down, don't they, their value each year that they're at the club. So I don't know.
Well, let's enter the world of football finance. One half of the Price Football Podcast, the excellent Football Finance Podcast, and lecturer on the subject. Kieran Maguire joins us. Hi, Kieran.
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Good, thank you. Yes, we should. Maybe the very simplistic question that everybody's asking: how can Liverpool spend a fortune and Villa can barely spend anything? Especially as Villa were in the Champions League last year, probably generate a fair bit of cash.
Yes, Villa had a better season last year, but for every £1 that Villa generate through ticket sales, Liverpool generate 4. For every £1 that Aston Villa generate through merchandise and sponsorship, Liverpool generate 5. So Liverpool are a hugely successful machine. They would have received extra money last season through winning the Premier League. They've also had the sales of Diaz and Nunez and many others this summer as well, which I think have to a certain extent flown under the radar, which has allowed them to reinvest. And remember, if you spend £100 million on a player on a 5-year contract, it's costing you £20 million in a year. So all of the players that they've signed this year, they're going to spread those costs and they take all of the profits immediately. So Liverpool are in a fantastic position. They didn't spend money in 2024 as well. For Villa, yes, it's great that they were in the Champions League from their point of view. But on the downside, their wage bill has doubled over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. The sale of Jack Grealish dropped out of their PSR equations, which has made life more difficult for them this summer as well, despite the sale of the women's team and despite the sale of Jacob Ramsey and one or two others. So they've just had to go and box that much more carefully, whereas Liverpool can effectively do whatever they want.
What about Manchester United? Because they've spent quite a lot of money, spent a very lot of money. They're still spending, and they're not great sellers, are they, of their players? A lot of the players are going out on what would
Lindelof's
free, but Anthony, you'd imagine, is a book loss, and don't know about Sancho, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, Manchester United are relying on the fact that they are the Disney, the Walt Disney of football, in the sense that they've got a global fan base, that they've got a capacity at Old Trafford which is greater than any other club, and they can always sell out regardless of the opposition. Doesn't matter whether it's a cup match, a league match. It doesn't matter whether it's at 12:30 on a Saturday or 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. Manchester United will always sell out, and therefore that's allowed them to go into the transfer market. Since Sir Alex retired, they've spent as much money on a gross level as practically any other club. But on a net level, they've actually spent more than any other Premier League club, because they can command the TV deals. They're still making £80 million this year from Adidas, despite not being in Europe. Every other club in the Premier League, with the exception of perhaps 2 or 3, would be desperate for a deal of that magnitude. So it's Manchester United's ability to be box office, regardless of whether they're playing well or not, has certainly helped them in their ability to spend this summer.
You said yesterday, you tweeted yesterday, Kieran, that with 1 day of the window to go, Summer 2025 spending is 7th in the all-time totals after adjusting for football inflation. I mean, in 2 deals today, Invissa and Isak, it's another 180 million going into the mix. So where do you think we'll be potentially by 7 o'clock tonight?
Well, certainly as far as a summer window is concerned, it will be the most, well, not successful, but certainly the largest. I think we'll be closing in on the mythical £3 billion. And if you think that the very first season of the Premier League, the total spending by all 22 clubs that year was only 99 million, it does show that there's been a huge acceleration in spending, driven by the success of the Premier League, its ability to become the global product that it is today, from a broadcasting, from an international fan basis, and so on. So yes, I think we'll certainly be the highest for a single window. And when January comes, I suspect we could be the highest for any sort of combined windows, even taking into account my nerdy adjustments for inflation.
How do you feel about Buonanotte going to Chelsea as a Brighton fan?
I don't really quite work it out from anybody's point of view. Clearly, he's not part of Herzl's plans for this season. He's a fantastically gifted player. Leicester fans will say last year that he was really good for them in patches. Chelsea have got a huge squad already, so where he fits in sort of slightly baffles me.
No, it fits in because Palmer's got an injury. They can't play João Pedro there. They need something else creative in that role. They got rid of Nkunku, who was spelling for. He's basically come in for Nkunku. That's his position. So, and he'll probably get about as much football as Nkunku got, depending on how fit Cole Palmer is. But that's the idea behind it.
Yes, I thought for a player of his age, he wants and he needs first team experience. He's certainly gifted enough. He has that sort of roving role, sort of as a number 10, and he can go past players at ease. So I wait with interest. You wish him very well, because it's not quite worked out for him at any of the clubs he's been at the Premier League to date.
I'm not surprised you support Brighton. What a fantastic... Financially, they are the most incredible club. What they do, there's some... When they sell players like Estepinian, you think, oh, no, that's got to affect your team, hasn't it? Yeah. But it never affects... They don't miss a beat. It's incredible.
Even Yves Bissouma's not been the same player since he left Brighton. It's quite incredible. Imagine if you supported a club that were an actual bin fire financially, Kieran. You'd be pulling your hair out, wouldn't you?
Well, there's not much hair left to pull out, sadly, guys. So I am fortunate that in position. If you take a look at Brighton over the course, I think, of the last 3 years, they are 20th in the net spend, and in fact they've got a negative spending because of the ability to spot talent. And you've got to give huge credit to Tony Bloom and his legendary laptop.
Absolutely.
And the people that he's used remember, it was Jamestown Analytics were the people that assisted Grimsby Town last week in terms of their recruitment over the summer, and Grimsby didn't do too badly in the Carabao Cup themselves.
Good stuff, Kieran. Pleasure as always. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys.
Kieran Maguire, lecturer on football finance at Liverpool University, and one half with Kevin Day of the Excellent Prices Football podcast. I'm getting stick for you here, Andy. May I take it up with Paul Hawksbee for suggesting that Ruben Amorim should watch penalties like a man? It wasn't me who said it, it was him.
Well, not necessarily like a man, like somebody who can face up to life, man or woman, and not hide in the dugout.
I'm not taking the rap for your madness. Yes. Anyway, Alex Goldberg, transfer expert, Chelsea blogger, popping in to see us in a few moments' time. We'll continue the countdown to the window slamming shut a little bit later on. We'll be up in Newcastle. It's been a pretty momentous day. Another incoming and a pretty major outgoing. Craig Hope will be joining us to chat about that. Plus Andy Brassel with all the latest from around Europe. We'll keep an eye on events in the EFL as well. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on transfer deadline day. And we're here with Toolstation, standing behind every single tradesperson of Britain. Next stop, Toolstation. Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Alex Crook has rejoined us in the studio, and we're going to get you up to date what's going on in the window. Alex.
Well, it's interesting because I know we want to focus on Chelsea, and actually, as if by magic, we've just been sent a statement by Ali Barrett. He's the agent trying to negotiate Nicholas Jackson's move to Bayern. We understand that is getting closer now, a loan deal initially with the obligation that I think Chelsea have been pushing for all weekend. Ali Barrett saying Nico was ready, Bayern were ready. We were all aligned on a world-class project. For the agreement to be withdrawn at the final moment is deeply frustrating. This, of course, is in relation to Chelsea pulling the plug on the deal on Saturday afternoon. Ali Barrett goes on to say, I'll fight with everything I have to make sure Nico's next step reflects his talent, ambition and the plan we built together. We hope Chelsea can cover Liam Delap's unfortunate injury. Now,
did he say he could stop him being offside every 5 seconds as well?
He didn't feature.
I didn't mention that. Okay.
He's seen as a super agent. I don't know if he's quite that good. But it comes at the same time as we're hearing that Fulham are in for Tyreek George at Chelsea, a loan deal with an obligation to buy him for £22 million. I do wonder if that means that Fulham's potential move for Kevin, the Brazilian winger from Shakhtar, is stalling. There has been talk that maybe Sporting Lisbon are trying to hijack that. But a couple of outgoings then potentially for Chelsea. And on the subject of ex-Chelsea players, Conor Gallagher, I'm told, has had a lot of interest in him in the final days of the window, not least from his old club, Crystal Palace. Had a good spell there on loan, helped them into an FA Cup semi-final. He is staying in Madrid at Atletico. Diego Simeone sees him as a key player, so that return to the Premier League won't be happening.
It's going to be quiet on Gay. What's the latest there?
Liverpool have got a medical team in London, as we understand it, waiting the green light from Palace that deal will go through. We know that they're giving a medical to Igor from Brighton on loan. They're looking to sign a second centre-back as well. So I think this one is going to go to the wire, as they say. First time we use that phrase so far today. But it's deadline day bingo. We've got 4 hours before the window closes, and I think we're going to be talking about Mark Gay right up until the deadline. This morning, I've got to say the noises I was getting out of Liverpool weren't particularly optimistic on the back of what Oliver Glasner said last night, that he told Steve Parrish that under no circumstances can Gay be allowed to go. And I think Gay's fairly relaxed. Yes, he would like to join Liverpool. Personal terms already in place. But I think he's aware that in a World Cup year, he's guaranteed to start at Palace. He's the captain. If he stays fit, I think he'll be starting for England in the States next
summer.
From
a business point of view, from Palace's point of view, they're
like
turning their back on 40 million pounds.
Down the drain.
35 million plus a sell-on is the offer that is on the table, and that stays on the table as far as we're told by Liverpool. But the other reason that Gay probably isn't driving it in the same way that Isak did and that Johan Wissa did, he's off to Newcastle, Isak to Liverpool and that British record deal, is because he knows that this time next year, as a free agent, you're not just talking about big clubs in the Premier League. I've been told some of the heavyweights in Europe would take Mark Gay.
Especially if he has a good World Cup as well, then sky's the limit. Yeah,
possibly the Tyreek George is an actual transfer, 22 million plus sell-on. But
okay,
yeah,
right.
I think that's what they're saying. Alex, we'll hear from you later. Thanks very much, Alex Crook. There, you can keep up to date with all the latest transfer news this deadline down the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. Joining us now, Chelsea blogger and transfer expert from over in the States, Alex Goldberg's popped in. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen?
Good to see you. One of the other, this Sporting deal, I know it's a different position that Kevin plays in. You've Chelsea been after this lad, Conrad Harder, who is a young Danish striker. I don't know if that is going to happen today. That's quite an interesting one. Have you heard much about him?
Yeah, but it seems like he has basically rejected Chelsea and he's going to go to Leipzig instead.
Right.
And we've seen this before. We actually saw this with a young player named Antonio Nusa, who's at Club Brugge. And he saw Chelsea acquiring so many young players and said, that's a bit too busy for me. And he actually went to Leipzig. So that does not seem like that's going to be happening for Chelsea.
No, wait and see. I think Chelsea will bring in a striker.
I would hope they bring in a striker, just not this Conrad Harder guy. I think he's going to go to Leipzig. I mean, we are thin, right? I mean, we're thin now with Nicholas Jackson seemingly finally going to Bayern Munich, unless there's another twist to that whole story.
They need another one.
And Mark Guiu from Sunderland, back from Sunderland. Listen, it helps. It's a body. I like Guiu. He's got a lot of energy. He presses hard. But now all of a sudden with Delap maybe gone for 2+ months, we're just going to rely on João Pedro and Guiu. We went from feeling quite comfortable with the striker position a couple months ago to now all of a sudden being quite thin there.
What's the nature of when you're over in the States and you just have on a flying visit? What's the feeling around transfer deadline day there? Does it get much traction?
I would say as good as the coverage is of games in the United States, and it's tremendous, would say deadline day does not have the same coverage. We have big like trade deadlines in American sports.
Yeah,
and those
because
are
it's
huge.
such a different thing, isn't it? I mean, the big day for the draft in American sport is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is not equal to a draft day or a trade deadline. But then again, I mean, it's not too hard to just clue on to social media and follow it the way that everybody else does. You know, you're Ben Jacobs of the world.
No, indeed.
As a Chelsea watcher, though, are you surprised that after last season where they were down to Jackson and when he got suspended or injured, they were down to nobody, that you'd think that they would want 3 strikers? You can't imagine. So the idea that they were going to go into the season relying on Delap and João Pedro seemed a really strange idea. You know, letting Guy go, letting Jackson go. I think it was a mistake.
Sure, no, I totally hear you. I mean, it's a tough one because if the 2 strikers are fit the whole season and your third striker is Nicholas Jackson, who's not the profile of a third striker, right? Usually the third striker might be an older guy or a younger guy who doesn't expect
They're never
to
going
play
to
every
stay
minute.
fit the whole season. No players are.
And they're learning that the hard way, right? Because it's not just Delap that's gone down, but you have Cole Palmer down for hopefully just a small period of time. So all of a sudden, João Pedro, who is playing the 10, now needs to go up to the striker position. So you just need to clone João Pedro, and you can have him up at striker and in the 10.
Well, he could have, I thought on Saturday, he could have brought on, not George, but brought on Andre Santos, pushed Fernandes forward and pushed Pedro forward. I thought he made a mistake there.
Are there players who've moved in the window elsewhere that you coveted as a sort of Chelsea fan and blogger? Is there players you would have liked?
That's a great topical question because when Levi Colwill went down with his injury, I was thinking, oh, you know what? Mark Gahey would be a mighty fine player right now. With that said, it just seems like Mark Gahey had his, absolute heart set on Liverpool or leaving on a free next year. Yeah. I think we were kind of rejected with Mark Gahey. And I think Mark Gahey in a World Cup year wants to be quite confident of where he is going to play. So I understand it. But I thought Gahey, his ability to play left center back, right center back, he's a leader. He's only in his mid-20s, but he's a leader. I thought he would have been a great acquisition when Colwell went down with that injury.
You could see Maresca's reaction. Sorry, Paul. Maresca's reaction to that injury. He knew that was going to really wreck Chelsea's season because you saw yesterday with Van Dijk. He plays those searching balls into the midfield, into the forwards.
Yeah,
only Colwell can do that. Yeah, Chelsea, and that's a problem for them.
Colwell would skip the midfield with his passing. I mean, he literally would get it to Palmer.
Big blow.
Yeah, and Palmer then would be able to receive it almost in the final third and progress it. Whereas you saw in the first game of the season, Palmer had to drop deep all the way to the halfway line to get the ball. And then you don't have Cole Palmer down in the box, right? You need to clone Cole Palmer, basically. You got to have him receive it and be the recipient.
Just going back to Gay quickly, the vibe you got yesterday when he was going up to the away fans, the Palace fans, and also just his teammates as well, you never really sensed it looked like a man who wasn't going to be there the following day. It didn't feel like this was the end for him, did it?
No, but I think that's partly because he is one of the most professional players I think there is in the Premier League. I mean, for a few seasons now, we've heard about Mark Gahey potentially moving away from Crystal Palace. All the while, he's a young man who is wearing the captain's armband, and you hear the way Crystal Palace fans talk about him. I mean, they'd practically make a statue of him tomorrow, with everything he's done for them. So I think when he feels like he is representing Crystal Palace, he is not going to portray himself as anything other than a Crystal Palace player.
They've got great manager. They've got great players. They could challenge top 6 if they keep their players. There's no question.
I mean,
you look at their results. Look at the way they've started the season.
You saw how tough they were against Chelsea first game of the season, but against all the big clubs.
Yeah, against Liverpool.
They don't lose to the big clubs, I actually think it's more about how will they play when they face inferior teams. Can they slap them up a little bit because they play really well against the top clubs.
Yeah, and it feeds into that thing about players coming into this league cold around transfers like Wirtz, taking time to get up to speed. I mean, Wirtz has said, in the Bundesliga, it's the sheer intensity of it for 90 plus minutes. He's not experienced that anyway. He's not the first overseas player to say that either. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I'm a big Florian Wirtz backer. I mean, now as a Chelsea fan, I hope he has a pretty bad Premier League career. I'm going to be perfectly honest, but you can see that for such a graceful player in the Bundesliga who likes to just roam and scan, he is not doing too well so far with all the shoulders and elbows he's getting in the back.
We can find you at Goldberg CFC on X. Where else can we find you, Alex? What are you up to?
Let's hone in on my millennial status and go over to Instagram, Alex Goldberg on Instagram. I do a daily show and playback, and actually also a YouTube show with someone you might know, Troy Deeney.
Oh, yes. Yeah, whatever happened to him? We spoke to him earlier on, although his clock's an hour out. So he thinks the window's closing at 8. So he's in for a shot when no more deals are being done. Good to see you, Alex. Thanks very much for popping in.
Thank you, guys.
Alex Goldberg there. Go and follow him on all your socials. Will Pugh from The Sun, who often talks transfers to us in the build-up to the window closing, is going to join us for a quick chat. He's been on duty today. We're up to Newcastle as well. Get the latest on what's going on there, all the ins and outs. We've seen Visser turning up for his medical and his signing, and I'm sure all the social media stuff. And Andy Brassell's going to guide us around Europe, look at some of the other deals, incomings and outgoings from European clubs into the Premier League and beyond. That's all to come. 3 hours, 57 minutes, 56 seconds till the window closes.
Helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon. With your headlines at 3:05, I'm Uma Gurav. After the will they, won't they saga of the summer, we understand Nicholas Jackson's loan move to Bayern is close. It was a messy end to the weekend for this deal, but Troy Deeney says he had to leave.
I was number 1 last year. I'm now number 3. You've then sold me. I'm here. Oh, but because the players got injured, you want me to come back and be invested, even though you told me all year you don't want me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think for him, he has to do the old Mexican standoff.
The loan move includes an obligation to buy. As for Mark Gahey, we understand his future's now in the hands of Steve Parish. On the one hand, Palace could cash in for 35 million quid, but Oliver Glasner would rather keep him for a year and let him go for free next summer. Gahey's been praised for acting better than some, but Simon says the stakes were never the same.
His contractual situation is very different to that of Visser's and Alexander Isak's. He can sit there and know in a year's time he's going to go on a free. The fact is that if he were to leave Palace in a year's time, every commercial benefit that was to be available on the table would go to him.
Elsewhere, Aston Villa are looking to secure Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. They're after a season-long loan for the midfielder, and Alex Crook has admitted after their poor start to the season, the club could really do with this one.
I think this would be a good signing for Aston Villa, and they need it. You look at Unai Emery's body language at the start of this season. He got the hump, didn't he, around Sam Matterface after a game recently. He was very spiky with the television interviewer yesterday when he was pressed on Emi Martinez. They've lost Jacob Ramsey.
And John Rahm, Shane Lowry and Matt Fitzpatrick are among Luke Donald's captain's pick for the Ryder Cup, meaning 11 of the 12 who won it in Rome 2 years ago will head to Bethpage later this month. Get more on that, plus the rest of today's transfer news at talksport.com.
talkSPORT.
With QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
And with your weather now, a day of sunny spells and showers. Some of the showers will be heavy with the risk of hail and thunder, feeling a little cooler than Sunday.
Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. 3 hours, 52 minutes, 6 seconds till the window closes.
3 seconds.
3 seconds, sorry, anyway. That's the madhouse if you're going to keep doing that. Wolves, in the last 5 minutes or so, have put out a kind of arty welcome video for their new striker from Genk. It's cost them 24 million. Tolu Arakadare, 24-year-old, scored 21 goals last season in Belgium. The team played for Genk, finished third. He's going
Keeping Strand Larsen.
Yeah, he's going to be a backup. He's going to work with Strand Larsen, so he's not going anywhere, as Wolves have constantly said. That's gone very quiet. I'm sure Wolves are delighted with that, but you can go and check out the video on social media. It's Tolu time, they say. So we'll see how he does. But, exciting times for Wolves.
Well, they've got a good manager. They should back him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on all the deals as they go through. Alex Crook and Anil Kandel will be back in a little bit later on. Alex, when he was last here, said there's a lot of interest in Conor Gallagher, but it does seem like he is staying at Atletico Madrid this year. So, Andy, anything else you've noticed?
Well, it seems a bit irrelevant on transfer day to talk about things like England 92, Samoa 3. What a close game that must have been.
Yeah,
tremendous.
I mean, this is often the problem, isn't it?
World Cup.
Until you get down to the last 3 or 4 teams. I mean, England are a very good team, but they haven't played Canada or New Zealand yet, have they?
And this one's quite interesting, though. West Ham fans are the most likely in the Premier League to sport. You can't sport a dodgy moustache.
Yeah, you could.
Well, you could. Sport a dodgy moustache, a poll found. 10% of them go for the facial fuzz, because you can't say beard twice.
No.
Brighton, Arsenal and Brentford fans come next with 9% each. Next to Fulham and Liverpool. What a ridiculous survey. Actor Danny Dyer, 48, is a fan of the Irons, whose anthem is I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. Oh, I see, because the headline was I'm Forever Growing Stubble.
Okay, well, yeah, it's
quite a good headline.
All sounds very, very convenient, doesn't it?
Got a Brian Linford letter for you if you want.
We don't have to, Andy. I mean, I'm
transfer deadline day. I think Brian should take a rest.
Yeah, I think he should. I think he should definitely take a bit of a rest.
I wasn't sure about Uma's line there, that Nicholas Jackson was the will they, won't they move of the summer. I was thinking, possibly Nicholas.
Well, I mean, I say it's the will they, won't they move in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was happening. Just to get you up to speed on a few of the deals that have been going on, I take it you've been following enough to know that the Isak deal is going through to Liverpool. As we've said, Arakadare has joined Wolves from Genk. Facundo Buonanotte has gone from Brighton to Chelsea on loan. Victor Lindelof's gone to Villa on a 2-year deal. Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho will probably be heading there as well. Hincapié hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it will. Piero Hincapié, the Ecuadorian defender.
Yes.
From Bayer
I think that
Leverkusen
looks like it's going to happen.
to Arsenal, but that's not official just yet. Maybe the big surprise one so far is Tyreek George, the Chelsea player, moving on a permanent to Fulham.
Yeah, it's pure profit. This is the thing, it's a shame because, this horrible PSR system just encourages the clubs to do this. Instead of sticking with a boy like George and sort of seeing how he plays on and it looks like he's really got talent, they go, well, that's 22 million profit. We'll have that.
And it does sound from Alex Goldberg, who's pretty well connected at Chelsea, was saying that the boy wanted to go. Maybe he felt he wanted to get game time.
No, I don't blame him either.
Wrexham are spending big once again, an effort to do the business. You probably saw that Ben Sheaf went in there, the Coventry player. He hadn't been getting a lot of game time at Cov, and he's gone into Wrexham. There was a lot of buzz about Hayden Hackney of Borough. Borough have made a great start, of course, and they're flying. Right? He's gone a bit quiet on his front. There was a number of Premier League clubs linked with him, but it looks like he's going to be staying at Borough, certainly. The Donnarumma deal could be a big one today for Manchester City. That's not been confirmed. And Senna Lamons as well, the Royal Antwerp keeper.
Tough on James Trafford there, isn't it, really?
Yeah, bringing in a big personality goalkeeper like that. But anyway, that's...
And would he have agreed to join if you'd said to him at the time he signed from Burnley, well, thanks very much, but, we're bringing in Donnarumma, you know.
If you look at Liverpool, they've got Mamadashvili, they've got 2 great goalkeepers.
I know.
And, unless Alisson gets injured, how much game time is he going to see?
No, that's true. And just the cups.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time now for this.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. 18+, begambleaware.org.
And it's time for Paddy's Bet Builder. We welcome Fern Buckley, and we're looking ahead to Thursday night's World Cup qualifier as Bulgaria play Spain. I don't know about you, but I've hardly slept. How many more sleeps till they kick off at the Vasilevsky National? Come on, Fern. I bet you. Yeah, honestly, it's going to be a really tough couple of days for all of us till we count down the kick-off.
How are we going to make it? I don't know.
It's going to be a hell of a night at the Vasilevsky National Stadium. Of course it will. But just remind us, Fern, how the Bet Builder works.
Of course, we've made a combination of bets across different markets, added them all together to get some overall value. Paddy Power have then agreed to put £10 down, hoping that we get it right, because when we do, the money goes to the Attitude Foundation, who do wonderful work with the LGBT community.
I've stuck my neck out. I said Spain are going to win this.
Yeah, like this. If you look at Bulgaria's form, they've had some issues defensively. In their most recent game, they lost to Greece by 4 goals. Considering the class that comes out of Spain, in the last 5 games, these 2 teams have played together as well. Spain have won 4 times and drawn 1. So it's not unreasonable to think that it's going to be another victory for Espanyol, and that isn't at 1-12.
And he's gone for an actual scoreline. He's gone 3-1 Spain.
Yeah, I like that. And at least 2 goals from Spain, you're thinking, aren't you? At least, well, it has to be for that. But
yes.
Despite that, maths. Despite that penalty shootout to Portugal, Spain's overall form and quality, this should be enough, come on, against a Bulgarian side that have been struggling. So a win, a 3-1 victory, actually, isn't it 10-1?
Our producer has gone both teams to score.
Well, just to give a little bit of light to the Bulgarian fans out there, I don't want to dim their shine too much, but when they play on home soil, they do register at least 1 goal. So with that in mind, I think Georgia's bet is a good one to have in the builder. Potentially an exciting game as well. Both teams to score is in at 7-4.
The most popular bet on this game so far is the amount of goals, over 1.5 goals in the game.
Yeah, which goes hand in hand nicely, doesn't it, with the rest of our picks. 80% of Spain's last 5 games have seen over 1.5 goals. It is the popular pick on Paddy Power. If you have a look this afternoon, you'll see it there. And the odds for that is at 1-9.
And finally, what have you gone with, Fern?
I've gone for a goal scored in each half because just think of Spain's attack. We're going to be seeing loads of goals, hopefully, in both halves of the match. All 5 of their last 5 games have actually had a goal in both 45 minutes. So I think we're going to secure it, guys. We're going to think powerful thinking, manifestation. We're going to win this money. That isn't at 4-9.
And cumulatively, Fern, what are we looking at if this comes off?
Yeah. It's quite nice, your evening in the midweek, 11-1. So from a £10 bet, you could get a return of £122. And if we get it right, all the winnings go to the Attitude Foundation, who, like I say, go to amazing work with the LGBT communities.
Remind us who your team is, who you support, Fern.
It's AFC Bournemouth.
Oh, blimey! Okay, I should move on quickly after the way you took us apart at the weekend. I mean, yeah. Are you expecting any more incomings today? You expecting more business?
I'm not too sure. It's a bit quiet at the moment, but I'm hoping we might see a little bit more. Just wanted to strengthen that defensive lineup a little bit. If we could do, that would be nice. But actually, considering what happened at the weekend at the Hotspur Stadium, we might be all right.
I think you probably will, based on what I saw.
On that note, you're like, hang up, goodbye,
yeah.
See you later.
See you, Fern. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
That's Fern Buckley there with Paddy Power's Bet Builder.
I'm off to Sophia tomorrow to preview the game. That's very important.
That's right. We're going to parachute you in. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Alex Crook has rejoined us. We're going to head up to Newcastle very shortly and have a chat with the Mail's Craig Hope, because it's a hive of activity, ins and outs. The Asula one is interesting. It seems that could be happening. He could be on his way to Frankfurt, Alex. And so for them to bring in a couple of forward players, but then lose one.
Well, I guess, again, it's the Newcastle hierarchy trying to balance the books in terms of PSR. That deal isn't done yet, I'm told. In fact, it may well be in the balance. One deal that has been in the balance since this morning looks to be reaching a positive conclusion now, and it involves Liverpool again. Obviously, have already broken the British record not once but twice this summer after confirming a £125 million fee with Newcastle for Alexander Isak last night. Mark Gahey, agreement now between the two clubs, £35 million fee agreed. He will undergo a medical in London, and you wonder how Oliver Glasner, who's been so public, the Palace manager, about not wanting to lose the England international, is going to feel about that. But this is another big statement for Liverpool. And actually, I spoke to somebody closely connected to the club this morning, and they said to me it's almost like 2 or 3 transfer windows all rolled into one when you go right back to the start of the summer when they signed Florian Wirtz for a British record fee. Then they got Ekitike, prized him away from Newcastle. I thought Kirkes was brilliant yesterday against Arsenal. Good signing as well. And now Gahey and Isak both arriving on deadline day.
Oh, just give them the title now.
Well, I'm sure you'll be chatting to Jim and Danny about this later on when you're back at 6:30, Alex. But Ekitike and Isak and the way they're going to work together, one going to be a backup, they're going to play up front together. How's it going to work?
Well, I think they need options. They're going to play a lot of games. Obviously, the Champions League is an extended format, and I think they were disappointed by going out that competition early last season. But it's a really good question because Ekitike has already made himself a hero with the Liverpool fans. At the end of the game yesterday, they were singing his song and he was dancing along. But I guess they will argue you can't have enough good players, and they have lost players in the forward areas. Obviously, Jota in tragic circumstances, but they've sold Diaz. They sold Darwin Nunez. Nunez, I would argue that Ekitike is going to be an upgrade on Nunez. Definitely. And Isak is going to be an upgrade on Diaz.
It is a formidable squad they've built, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's incredible.
Salah started the season quite quietly as well.
Yeah, and had a poor game.
They've got to fancy the Champions League, haven't they? Which is what they love.
Yeah.
For sure. Palace, though, am I right in thinking that Wharton picked up a hamstring yesterday?
Yes, I think he did. He's pulled out the England squad.
Then, having faced Palace on the first day with all of them, next time you face them, they won't have Gay, they won't have Eze, and they won't have Wharton.
I'm still surprised that Jean-Philippe Mateta's not been subject of interest in this window as well. With his goal record since Glasner came into the club, actually.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you very much, Alex. Alex will be back a little bit later on, so it looks like Gay is on. Once we get confirmation of that, we'll let you know. And you can keep up to date with all the latest transfer news this deadline day on the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. We're going to have a chat with the Mail's man up in the northeast, Craig Hope, very shortly. Talk about Visser, who we saw arriving for his medical earlier on. Talk about Isak and the way that has finally reached its conclusion. And also talk a bit about this Asula story as well. That's all to come. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station. Now, our biggest competition today is now live. We're giving you the chance to win Oasis tickets plus a whopping 25 grand. Two lucky winners, not one but two, will win a pair of Oasis tickets when they return to Wembley on the 27th of September. Plus, that's not all. Alongside the tickets, we're giving you the chance to win a whopping 25 grand. For all the details on how to enter this amazing competition, listen up now.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
The big story, transfer-wise, in the last 10 minutes is that Liverpool have agreed a deal with Crystal Palace to sign Mark Gay. He's having a medical with the Liverpool medical team in London, and that should be concluded a little bit later on.
Honestly, 9 points already with all that incoming. It's hard to see beyond Liverpool winning it. Really.
It is, yeah. I mean, again, they've not really been at their best yet either.
No.
You've seen glimpses of it, but with the quality and the depth of the squad, that's it. You say it's not about having a good 11. Maybe it's not about having a good 14. You need, if you're going to really compete, you need 20 good players.
You do, absolutely.
Anyway, let's continue talking transfers now. A man that we spoke to an awful lot in the build-up to transfer deadline days, the Sun's transfer host of their fine podcasts. It's Will Pugh. Hello, Will.
Gents, how are you?
Yeah, we're not too bad. Thank you. It's all been a bit manic. You've been broadcasting, haven't you, for the Sun today on everything that's going on. It's lively.
Absolutely. I'm 15 floors beneath you currently. Yeah, but just didn't have the time to jump up in the lift and come and sit with you, sadly. But yeah, it's been pretty frantic, to be honest. This is one of those things, particularly the January windows. People get a little bit miffed sometimes if they're not quite as exciting as hoped. But today's looks like it's going to be an absolute all-timer. I've spent the last couple of hours, as it sounds like you have as well, talking quite a lot about Chelsea, which obviously I can see everything else going on all the screens around me. But yeah, certainly lots going on in West London at the moment, as well as everywhere else in the country.
No takers at Alex Cook was telling us earlier on Ben Chilwell, Strasbourg.
Talk about him going to Strasbourg.
Moving, kind of a bit of shifting to another part of the business.
Yeah, that's very much what we're hearing at the moment as well. It would be a permanent deal because at the moment, Strasbourg have already got 3 Chelsea players on loan. For anyone who doesn't know, of course, they're owned by Todd Bowley's Bluecoat company as well. So if Chilwell is going to go, it'd have to be a permanent deal, which is, we understand, is what they're edging towards at the moment. Obviously, any sort of accusations of sort of interdealing put pay to those because any sort of transfer fee would be subject to a UEFA fair value check. He gets 200 grand a week at Chelsea at the moment, so there's going to have to be some sort of negotiation as well as to whether perhaps Chelsea sort of cover or provide some sort of a payoff because Strasbourg are obviously constrained by the same spending rules as everyone else. They're in Europe this season, so they're under the UEFA rules. So it may be that Chelsea have to pay off some of Chilwell's contract. He's got a year left on that at Chelsea in order because Strasbourg will likely be paying him 60 or 70. But there's edging towards a deal on that one at the moment. It does look like he will leave by the end of the window.
Alex was also telling us there's no obvious takers for Raheem Sterling. I mean, have you heard anything else?
What a surprise.
You know what? I had literally, just as I was about to come on, heard a whisper, not in a position at this stage. Jack Rosser, who's across all things Chelsea for us, along with Dan King, just sending me a message. I think it's a watch this space for Sterling at the moment. I think there's sort of some whisperings around edging close to a deal that would see Sterling leave. As we know, though, £325,000 a week. Arsenal paid hardly any of his wages when he was there on loan, and there's very much a sense in the market that, well, why would, from clubs, from potential clubs who Sterling would go to, why should we pay any more than Arsenal did? And kind of, as you can understand as well, Sterling with 2 years left on his Chelsea contract, he's got a contract for wages for that amount of money, 17 million quid a year, it works out. He's got absolutely no appetite whatsoever either to waive any of that money after he's signed one with a club. So I think sort of in the best interest of all parties.
It was a disaster.
It was
absolute disaster.
How long was his contract when you signed him? How long did he get?
Too long. I'd have given him a month.
Yeah,
absolutely hopeless.
Now, finally, your club, West Ham. I mean, you went big with Matheus Fernandes at the tail end of last week from Southampton. Just shy of 40 million quid. It's a bit quiet today,
They
but
don't need anybody now.
Well,
apparently Graham Potter's got it sussed.
Yeah, Graham's at the wheel. But it's probably good that it's been quiet at West Ham today, because that means Paquetá's staying.
Well, yeah, quite. I mean, it would be quite something, wouldn't it, Paul, to after that display of world-level badge kissing to see Paquetá leave the club. Obviously, perhaps not overly interested in or not overly attracted by the Aston Villa project, given their start to the season. But I think there's suggestions that Emerson and Naif Aguerd may leave for Marseille. Those two both quite concerning, because West Ham are in a position where sort of we need as many bodies as possible rather than looking at outgoings. Fernandes performed very well at Nottingham Forest, but yeah, I don't think any West Ham fan would be too sorry to see a midfield arrival. There was talk about Basuma. Again, Fernandes came in and played very well. So whether the board would be a bit hesitant to do anything else on that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think West Ham fans would rather see arrivals rather than departures.
Okay, Will, thanks very much. We'll let you get back to it. Where can people watch it all unfold?
So today it'll be, you subscribe if you're not already to the SunSport YouTube channel. It's all across the YouTube shorts there. And as always, any of the Sun Football platforms on social media.
Thank you very much, Will. All the best. There's Will Pugh there. And remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news this deadline down the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. We've got another just under half an hour to keep bringing you all the breaking transfer news before Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent take over from 6:30. Jim White, Alex Crook and Danny Murphy will be here as the window slams shut at 7 o'clock, and they'll have all the reaction, because obviously we find out about deals beyond 7 o'clock as the paperwork's getting sorted. There's still a few bits and pieces to be confirmed. No confirmation yet from Tottenham on Randall Colomwani. It looks like that's a season-long loan. Nkapé at Arsenal is another one. There's quite a few Donnarumma. So, yeah, we wait confirmation of some of these deals. But if you've just joined us, Mark Gay to Liverpool looks very much like it's on 35 million plus a 10% sell-on clause. More on that, but we're up in Newcastle next, where it's all been going on today, ins and outs, with Craig Hope from the Mail.
Well, it's been one of the most exhilarating transfer windows in years, but it's been filled with petulance, childishness and tantrums to boot. And both of this summer's main villains have got their way. Alexander Isak and Johan Wissa, both set to sign where they wanted.
The players' behaviour, reprehensible. The union's silence, pathetic. The culture of football, not to be admired. But it is what it is. The only thing different about a contract is it doesn't cut both ways. Because if the club stands down a player, they've still got to pay him. If a player stands down a club, he seems to be able to do what he wants, and that can't be something that people admire.
So after all the talk, it turns out the players do have the power. Manuel Petit says that's a change since his day. So does the Gunners legend reckon his old club are headed in the right direction? Well, he's not totally thrilled at the way they lost at Anfield yesterday.
They did try in the first half, but not enough for me to bring the real danger, for the goalkeeper and for the Liverpool defence. And in the second half, I was very disappointing the way they were playing.
Back to transfers. Nicholas Jackson thought he was heading to Bayern on Saturday. Then the deal was off after Liam Delap's hamstring went ping. But now, well, is it back on, Ben Jacobs?
Chelsea negotiate with Sunderland to recall Mark Guiu, the young striker who was signed from Barcelona. That gives them striker cover. So Bayern come back in now, having briefly looked at Ademola Lookman, and they are working again on getting this deal over the line.
Yes, 3 hours, 22 minutes, 46 seconds to the window closes. Alex Crooks has bound in with a bit of news, which hopefully will cheer up Villa fans, Alex.
Yeah, might cheer up Unai Emery, as we mentioned earlier as well. Tough start to the season. Second from bottom, Aston Villa, going into this international break. Not many would have foreseen that coming. Deal agreed between Liverpool and Villa for Harvey Elliott. It's a loan initially with a £35 million obligation. There was interest in Elliott from RB Leipzig as well, driven by Jurgen Klopp, former Liverpool manager, now obviously oversees the Red Bull football franchise, but he's off to Aston Villa. And Nicholas Jackson, that is all agreed now as well. It was on, then it was off, and now it's on again. Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea to Bayern, a loan initially, but crucially this time there is an obligation, and we're told at talkSPORT the total package is worth £70 million. Nicholas Jackson has agreed terms on a 5-year contract with the German Giants.
Just a quick one. The Palace fans will be sad to see Mark Gay go, but not majorly surprised. There could be a twist in this tale, potentially. Oliver Glasner said yesterday, after their fine win against Villa, that we have to keep Mark Gay if we want to have a successful season. And so, he laid down a marker. The player is going today. And quite a key job has come up in the Bundesliga, hasn't it?
Indeed. Erik ten Hag, the third Manchester United or ex-Manchester United manager in the space of a week to lose his job. He only lasted 2 league games at Bayer Leverkusen. And you do wonder if they might make a play now for Oliver Glasner. It does look like Mark Gay to Liverpool is on. Again, the noises coming out of Anfield this morning, they weren't particularly optimistic because Oliver Glasner was so desperate to keep him. A £35 million deal has, in the last half an hour or so, been agreed. He's going to have his medical in London. They're bringing in Igor from Brighton on loan. No option in that deal, so just an extra body, really. And they're signing JD Canvot, a young French defender from Toulouse. But neither of those really strike me as a ready-made replacement for their captain and probably England's best centre-back.
If they don't back him, they'll lose probably the best manager they've had for a very, very long time. So, that would be a shame for Palace.
Good stuff. Thank you, Alex. Thanks very much. You can keep up to date with all the latest transfer news this deadline down the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. And we will be chatting to Andy Brasselet, European expert, very shortly, and we'll find out what's exactly gone on with Ten Hag to be sacked after 2 games and whether Glasner would be a possible candidate. But before that, it is. We head to Newcastle, which has been a hive of activity, of ins and outs. Craig Hope from the Mail joins us. Good afternoon, Craig.
Afternoon, guys.
So it finally happened then, Alexander Isak. No great surprise to anybody. I mean, it's gone down to the wire. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, really, the way it's all panned out. I mean, what's the word up there today?
I think internally, guys, there's probably one of relief as well, because this had dragged on for long enough now. It was 55 days ago when I was in Singapore and I spoke to you guys from the floor 24 of the Shangri-La Hotel moments after breaking the story that Isak had told the club that he wanted to go. For 55 days, we've had around-the-clock noise around this now. It has undoubtedly been a distraction. Newcastle since have not. Sorry, guys, my phone's just fallen there. Newcastle have not. Even my phone, once the end of the transfer window, it's thrown itself on the floor there. They have not won a game since, be that the 5 in pre-season or the 3 competitive matches. It has undoubtedly been a distraction. So to have a line drawn under it today, I think will be of relief to the club, to Eddie Howe, into Isak's teammates as well. Now, in an ideal world, would Isak have stayed from a footballing perspective? Absolutely. Yes, there is. You can't put a shine on this. They have lost a world-class striker, one who is worth £125 million. But given his absolute determination to go, given his desire to join Liverpool and the summer-long saga that has played out, I think there is. I go back to the word I used at the top, guys, an element of relief that a line is finally being drawn under it.
Yeah.
I think Visser is a good signing, though. I think they've paid too much money for him, 1 year on his contract, 28. But he's Premier League proven, and it gives Voldemar a chance to settle in, because you wouldn't want everything to be on him coming in as a young player.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, I think it would have been incredibly risky if Johan Wissa or another striker hadn't come in and everything was put on Nick Voldemar. You look at Benjamin Sesko and what he is currently doing at Manchester United now. He looks as if he's going to need games and an introduction, a phased introduction from the bench perhaps before he finds his feet here. Benjamin Sesko has looked a million miles off, and Sesko was someone from the German league who Newcastle went for before they went for Nick Voldemar. So for Voldemar to take on that mantle all on his own, given who he was replacing, would have been incredibly dangerous and fraught with risk. They've brought in Johan Wissa, 19 Premier League goals last season, ready to hit the ground running, ready to take the number 9 shirt. If all of the deals done today, it might just slip under the radar, but Wissa for Newcastle is incredibly significant and incredibly important.
Good player. I've seen a lot of him. Very good.
Yeah. We're a bit surprised that they're prepared to let Will Osula go. I saw you tweeting earlier on that he was supposed to do media with the national team for Denmark, and he's pulled out of that. It looks like it could be on with Frankfurt. What's the latest on that, Craig?
Or you might just not like journalists. It's the first time someone's pulled out of a media. Let's not read too much into this. No, the word is that Newcastle are currently in talks with Frankfurt, a deal of around £30 million. Now, it may be a little bit less than that by the time you take in add-ons and the such, with a buyback clause for Newcastle. Now, I think that would represent tremendous value, given Newcastle paid £10 million for him 1 season ago, and he only actually made his first Premier League start at Leeds on Saturday. He's looked okay in flashes, but has he looked like a player who was ready to take on the number 9 jersey, any starting jersey, really? No, he hasn't. So if they can do that deal with the buyback, I think that will make a lot of sense, because, as you touched on there, Andy, they perhaps have overpaid for the likes of Johan Wissa. As good as I think he is, that £55 million deal is perhaps 5 or 10 more than they should and could have paid. So getting some of that back on Osula is the aim now. But guys, I can see the transfer ticker in between you there. There's 3 hours left. Yeah. Anything could happen in that time.
Indeed. Thank you, Craig. Thanks very much.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Craig Hope there from the Mail, their chief football reporter, man up in the North East, with the latest on what's going on at Newcastle. There's plenty going on with players heading into the Premier League and beyond from Europe, and some heading over to Europe. And we've had a big managerial casualty in Erik Ten Hag, sacked after just 2 games in charge of Eintracht Frankfurt. We'll find out more about Brian Bobby and what's going on with Donnarumma and the Ten Hag situation, Colin Moani, Lemons, the Manchester United goalkeeper. So Andy Brassel, our European football expert, joining us to close things off from our point of view on deadline day. But don't go anywhere, because Andy Goldstein is primed alongside Darren Bent to keep telling you everything that's going on in the window. And then from 6:30, Jim White, Alex Crook and Danny Murphy will be here as the window closes at 7, reacting to all the news as well. So lots more to come on deadline day here on talkSPORT. Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT, coming up at 4. Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent with transfer deadline day drive. We end today chatting to our European football expert. You know him from Trans Europe Express with Danny Kelly every Sunday night. It is Andy Brassel. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hello, you guys. How are you? You never know where you're going to end up on deadline day.
No. Where do we find you today?
King's Cross, actually. So I'm ready for any move that's offered me in these next 3 hours.
Going to go and sit outside Loftus Road in your car. Let's start with a story that I'm sure would have dominated a lot more on talkSPORT if it weren't deadline day. Erik ten Hag's short reign, and that is understating it, at Eintracht. Yeah, I haven't gone mad. Leverkusen. Sorry.
Leverkusen.
Yeah. What happened? Why have they decided to cut their losses so quickly?
I think Simon Rolfes, the sporting director, said when he was talking about it to the press at lunchtime, anyone can make a mistake, but if you don't make an effort to correct it, then it becomes an even bigger mistake.
Wow.
And I think his players will be on board with him with that. I mean, I know people can look at it from the outside, and a lot of people doubted him in the first place over here because of what happened at Manchester United. Of course, he already had a lot of respect for everything he'd done at Bayern before, and he had a good reputation in Germany. But he wasn't their first choice for the job. They thought they had Cesc Fabregas at one point, and they didn't, because Como simply wouldn't budge, and Fabregas didn't want to push them. Then they got Ten Hag in charge. I think people look at it now and think, well, look at how many players they've sold this summer. It was way over 200 million. That's before you get to the Pierre and Capier deal. To Arsenal, which we expect to happen or to be verified later today. And, what chance did he have? Some big players are still coming to Leverkusen. Ben Seguir arrived from Monaco yesterday. We've got a few more expected to be finalised today. But it was just the content of the work and the feeling in the dressing room. Not only were they betting in a new team, but he was betting in a coaching staff that had never worked together before. It all started, if you go back to a couple of weeks after he officially started work, when they were doing this promotional tour of Brazil, and they lost 5-1 to the under-20 side of Flamengo. And afterwards, he said he couldn't care less about pre-season results, which obviously became a headline. The fact that the club and him agreed that they would shift on Granit Xhaka, who was the main lieutenant on the pitch of Xabi Alonso, and then he went public and said, I don't think that's a good idea, when the sporting director and the CEO thought they'd signed it off with him.
Wow.
And, it was just a feeling as well that he wasn't getting any tune out of the players on the pitch. Two really awful performances. There was the one on Saturday where they're 3-1 up at Leverkusen, and they had a man up, and they still managed to concede a last-minute equaliser. But Rolf has said when he was speaking at lunchtime, that was really nothing to do with it. We'd already made our mind up.
Wow, it's a costly error from their point of view.
What about Glasner for them?
Yeah, we've just been talking about that.
Happy, I don't think, about Gay.
Yeah, so. he basically laid his cards on the table, said we must keep Mark Gay, and he looks like he's off. Would he be a candidate, Andy?
They'd be interested. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But for the moment, they're looking at people who are free. Yeah. And that means Edin Terzic, the former Dortmund coach. That means Xavi, which would be very interesting. Of course, they've done very well with the Spanish coach before. Why not go for someone with nearly the same name who's way more defensive and wouldn't require buyout? So I'm quite interested. Obviously, his reputation would mean everyone and his playing reputation particularly would mean everyone at Leverkusen in the Bundesliga would be very excited about him. Once they've seen the football, different question, perhaps.
We want to ask you about some of these players that look like they're coming into the Premier League. Now, Manchester United fans would love to know a little bit more about Senna Lammens, the Royal Antwerp goalkeeper. I don't know if you've seen much of him. It looks like he's got the nod over Emi Martinez coming in. What's the story there?
Yeah, no, I think it's probably because he's a bit younger. They feel they can work on him. And they feel also that he's someone who can compete with Onana rather than absolutely needs to replace him, because of course one of the biggest problems for United, if you look at this transfer window, is shifting players that they don't want anymore. At the moment, Onana is worth so much less than what they paid for him. I think they would struggle to shift him, and particularly when you factor in the wages as well. Whereas Lammens is someone, if you don't introduce him immediately into the first team, it's not a massive hassle. I think they look at his qualities, his size, his ability off his line, and think he can grow into something really good. But I think they probably look and think he can coexist with Onana for the moment as well, which I think, especially from a financial perspective, is very important for United.
We've talked about Randall Colomwani coming into the Premier League before, Andy, because he's been linked, but it looks like he's coming to Spurs for the season. You maybe tell Spurs fans what they can expect from him, whether you think it's a good fit.
But for me, a massive upgrade on what they've already got up front. He was great in the second half of last season on loan at Juventus. He's not the only player who has not clicked with PSG. He's a big game player with incredible intelligence, really smart centre forward. He's got physical power as well. He's quick. We've seen him really start for France too. I think this is a great get for Spurs.
He can sit down and have a chat with Xavi Simons about not making it a PSG, can't he? The two of them can commiserate with each other. What about Gianluigi Donnarumma? It looks like he's coming into City. Well, that's gone a bit quiet. The expectation is that's going to happen. How do you see that as a fit?
A bit of an unusual one, if I'm being perfectly honest, especially if you see the sort of goals that City are conceding at the moment. It feels like they would be better off with someone who's better off his line. But look, in terms of a shot stopper, he's unparalleled. He's as good as it gets. And the way that City have been defending, maybe he's going to get more practice than he would normally expect to. You know, I think it's easy to forget when we think of the stylish way in which PSG won the Champions League. He helped them out some massive holes last season, particularly against Villa, particularly in the second leg against Arsenal, the beginning of that. I'm really interested to see how it works. He'll need to come off his line more, that's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And Brian Brobby, Sunderland's new man, what can they expect from him?
Well, the best thing is you're asking me and not Rafael van der Vaart, because he's one of those who's given him a bit of a kicking in the last year. Look, I think Brobby's a good player. Ajax were gutted to lose him the first time. They brought him back from Leipzig at great expense. I think people look at him and think he's not technically good enough to play for Ajax. I mean, no, Ajax are what Ajax are at the moment. He's big, strong. I think the Premier League will really, really suit him. And I think bearing in mind the other striking options out there, you could pay an arm and a leg for someone who is not necessarily going to be a guarantee. So I think this is a palatable gamble for them. They weren't the only club interested in him. And I think when you look at them getting Gatuida as well, who Marseille really wanted, this could end up being a great, great window for Sunderland.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, guys.
There we are. That's Andy Brasso, our European football expert. He'll be back on Sunday with Danny Kelly for Trans Europe Express. Well, that is us, Andy. Just over 3 hours.
Incredible. Till
the window closes. Don't go anywhere, because from 6:30, Jim White will be back for his second shift alongside Alex Crook, and Danny Murphy's going to be joining them to pour over all the deals, all the final deals in the last half hour, and react to them. And there's still a lot of business to be done, a lot of stuff to be confirmed still in the next 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, I think a lot of deals still to be done.
Yeah, so fascinating stuff. Don't go anywhere. Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent will be here in a few moments' time to keep you updated in Drive. And you can keep up to date with all the latest transfer news this deadline day on the live talkSPORT transfer blog on the talkSPORT website. I'll see you with Charlie tomorrow. Andy back on Wednesday. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the window.